Oh, the background not coming up. All right. Wow. Greetings, everybody. Greetings. All right, greetings, everybody. Greetings, y'all. Greetings. Welcome. It's Sunday, May 19th, 2024, and we are live in living. Fitzroy, I see you're here early, man. Blessings. So, all my early folks, Colleen, I see you. John Britt, what's going on with you? Just that y'all are doing well. It's a beautiful evening, an exciting evening, and we are locked and loaded. We have a exciting program this evening and some exciting revelations, some exciting stuff for us to explore. Knoxroy Bowman, I see you. You are in the building. Juliet Brooks, you are in the building. Logan, Lone Robinson, big up yourself. And Melvita Mackenzie, big up yourself. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's an exciting evening. We are slated to be joined by a bunch of folks. Lots of good people. As you've seen, Dr. Clovis Nelson, Dr. Nadine Spence. We have Sharon Hay Webster. And we have the man himself, Mr. Vegas, who will be weighing in on the issue. Of course, you all would have seen the promo for this evening's show. We're going to be looking at the motive behind certain actions that were taken a few weeks ago. But that's just the start of what is going to be an exciting evening. Bartley, I've never seen the numbers move so fast. What's going on? Bartley Swaby, big up yourself. Lorraine, what's going on? Share the program, guys. Tell a friend, tweet a friend, call a friend. Do what you got to do. Tell them we're on, we're live. And we're going to be having an exciting discussion this evening. But guess what's exciting? I will not be doing this show alone this evening. You remember a few weeks ago, we've invited our friend, Gabby, to join us. Well, last week she couldn't make it. Of course, you know, she's a busy lady. But this week, we are exciting and we are happy to be joined by none other than Gabby.
Hi, Chopper.
I hope we can hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We're not hearing Gabby.
Oh, you're not hearing me?
Oh yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. Good
we
night,
are hearing
Chopper.
you now, loud and clear.
Everyone that's watching, I'm so very excited to be here. Nervous, I must admit, but also very, very excited. You know, we're always having these type of discussions over on TikTok. Recently, for me, this is my first time on your platform, certainly via this medium.
Yes.
And so I'm very, very happy, very honored that you would have invited me. I'm very excited to be joining you. Yeah.
And we're happy that you take the time out because we've always wanted to, you know, I've listened to you on other platforms and you're waiting on the issues nicely, very rounded, understand the issues. Doesn't matter what it is, you're always very knowledgeable. And you do a lot of research. I like that. So this evening, we're very excited that you really take the time out to join us. I know you're a very busy lady and we're happy that you're here with us. So it's going to be an exciting evening. It's your first time on the block. We are live on Facebook. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube. And we are also Yes, we're on Chops Media. We're
Okay.
also on TikTok, which is our favorite playground. But unfortunately, TikTok is not interactive with our platform, so therefore we have to just go live via a different until we can get to interact. So if you notice, we are doing what we call a simulcast. So we are broadcasting on various platforms simultaneously, which is I think is a very
Right.
good thing for us. Jovi Spence, I see in the building. Jovi said, "Welcome, Gabby." Knoxroy is in the building. Knoxroy Thomas is in the building. Pick up yourself. Kenroy Thomas is in the building. Maxine, the usual suspect, the usual folks who are here early, who knows that they have to get us to 100 real quick, like boom, boom, boom. So they're sharing the program, telling a friend, tweeting a friend, telling everybody that we're live, and we'll be having a very good discussion this evening. Gabby, as you know, we are going through what some people dub as the silly season in the political space. Shanti Johnson, see Shanti Johnson there, Gabby? Shanti is one of the persons who have been on the block for years. These are what we call
Okay.
the usual suspect. They're always here. They're always sharing. They're always supporting the things. So blessings to see you. Annette Williams as well. Um, Anthony Van Reel. All those folks are what we call the usual suspect. So Gabby, I know you would be familiar with what's happening in the space as it relates to the constitutional, the CRC, the Constitutional Reform Committee, and the sort of work that they have done and where they are today. What have you picked up on that? And how do you, first of all, do you think that we really need to reform our constitution? That's the first thing I want to ask you, until we get our guest on board.
Um, is there a number in reality that is higher than a percentage higher than 100%? Absolutely. I think it is long overdue. Certainly, as you know, the constitution we have now, we inherited. We have changed so much. Jamaica has changed so much. We've changed so much as a people. It's long, long, long overdue. And so I'm very, very happy that we're finally at a point
Mhm.
where we are not just talking about the need to get it done, but where the government has made advances in taking us along that path. I'm not seeing Chopper anymore.
Yes, and you would have seen, yeah, you would have seen where there is certain flexing of the muscle where consensus is concerned. Um, how do you see that playing out in the public space?
Very interesting conversations happening,
It seems
certainly,
like we're
Chopper.
having a
And
delay.
obviously, yeah, there is a delay. There is a
Yeah,
delay.
I don't know why there is a delay. I've never had a delay before. Did Gabby just crash the internet? Yeah, we have a little delay in the broadcast. I don't know why it's coming
Yeah.
across with a delay, but it will work itself out in a few minutes. Let's go ahead, Gabby. We're hearing you.
Right. So I'm saying, clearly there are a lot of conversations that are happening, a lot of conversations happening on in the streets, a lot of conversations happening on social media, particularly, which if I am to be honest, that is largely where I'm able to socialize and to get feedback from people. The conversation has evolved in many ways on places like Twitter, places like TikTok, places like Facebook, and of course Instagram. People weighing in on their views, people weighing in on the views of the persons who are participating in the process, and of course the people who are choosing to halt the process, in the words of others, weighing in on what their ulterior motives are or what they might be, and sharing their opinions. And there are a lot of them. I know that's part of what we're going to be discussing tonight. So I don't know how far into the discussion you want to go. But I am paying attention.
No,
My
we
views
can
as
until our folks decide to join us. We can still go ahead.
right. So from where I am, and you can correct me, but my understanding is both political parties, and that is the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party, would have for years agreed that it is overdue, long overdue for us to step away from the monarchy. And part of that process would also require things like constitutional reform. Um, and so there's been long debate about it, conversations happening from as far back as Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, Prime Minister Bruce Golding, Prime Minister Patterson, right? Of course, now being led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And of course, even in Parliament, we've had feedback provided as to what that process should look like by the opposition leader, supporting the process at the time and indicating that there was need for us to hastily look to, in his own words, decolonization. A constitutional reform committee would have been put in place to that aid, made up of members of society, civil society, along with recommendation/nomination from both political parties and special interest groups. And they would have gone through a long process to review not just what they believed was in the best interest of the country, but what of their themselves, but what they believe is in the best interest of the country. And so a lot of recommendations would have come off that, some of which we don't know because there's a process by which the country is to be formally notified. That process involves tabling a report in Parliament, which has not yet been done. But a lot of information has come out by way of leaks, and certainly by way of leaks from internally within the committee and by leaks from the opposition putting out their views on several matters related to, which is why we are here, dual citizenship, for example, and whether or not dual citizens should be allowed to serve in our parliament. I'm not seeing Chopper anymore, but I'd love to know if you guys in the chat can still hear me if I am delayed. You're hearing me, Chopper. You're muted, but you're hearing me. Right. So matters related to dual citizenship, for example, and whether or not dual citizens should be allowed to serve in the parliament. It's ironic because the Jamaica Labour Party started out previously believing that dual citizens ought to be allowed to serve in parliament, and the People's National Party was of the view that they should not serve. And so much so that several members of the Jamaica Labour Party were taken to court when they lost the election and were seeking to win the election to have those victories overturned, so that they could. Chopper, you're signaling to me, but I'm not sure. I should pause. Chopper, I can't hear you.
Okay, so you're having a little bit of delay.
Okay.
You're coming through perfect, but you're having a little delay a while ago. And I want to make sure that everybody is hearing you loud and clear because you were articulating the point on how we are where we are today.
Right.
So go ahead.
Right. So where am I now? I'm saying, no, they were so adamant that it ought not happen that they took several members of the Jamaica Labour Party to court, in an attempt, one could argue, to overthrow the victory of the Labour Party, but certainly on the grounds that they believe dual citizens should not serve in Parliament. And so as we look to do a review of our constitution, one of the recommendations that have been put forward is that dual citizens should not serve, whether they be Commonwealth citizens or citizens of other country. If you've been paying attention, you would have noted that there's a conversation that has been floating around, suggesting, which is a fact, that currently our constitution allows for dual citizens to serve in the Houses of Parliament. The recommendation now is that be changed, that whether you are a Commonwealth citizen or not, you must not be allowed to serve. And that is not...
that recommendation...
Sorry, you're saying something, Chopper?
And that recommendation is from the CRC, correct?
That recommendation has been put forward from the CRC. That is correct. And this would have come again from consultations that would have taken place, a whole year of meeting and discussions and reviewing as to what they believe is in the best interest of the country. Subsequent to that position being taken, and again, we started out by sharing the fact that there's an appeared balance that is on the committee from persons who were nominated by both sides of the fence, along with people from civil society. And so the opposition leader would have indicated that he is not of the view that that change should be made, and in fact believes that dual citizens should be allowed to serve as members of parliament.
All right.
Yes.
So, Gabby,
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you to just exit and come back in again. Let's see if we can get you up to date, because I think you're still having a little bit of delay, and I want to make sure that we get this information out. So just re-enter, use the same code. You're back in again. All right. Let's get Gabby. Dr. Nelson, greetings, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Greetings, Dr. Nelson. How are you doing? Yes, I'm
Yes,
hearing you loud and
greetings.
clear.
All right, good, good. I'm trying to behave myself as usual, Chopper.
Yes. We're trying to get Gabby back in and make sure, because we're having a delay. I don't know why we're having a delay. We have never had this problem, but
I see that too.
hey, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
So Sister Gabby is
I
back
realize
in.
that.
There you go. A little bit of
Am I still
delay.
there?
I think you're good now.
I hope so. Although on my end it looks like you're delayed. But
Yes.
hi, Dr. Nelson. You came in when
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't know why
speaking
we're
to
having.
Unity to give
Hi,
you a
Right. So let
hello.
me
How
make
are
the
you?
introduction. So Dr. Nelson,
hi, Gabby.
How are you?
Dr. Nelson, are you able to
Yes,
hear
I can
Gabby?
hear both of you, but there is a delay.
Perfect.
I I
I
think the
never
delay
seen
is
this
on your part, Chapo.
before.
I'm not sure, but I feel like the delay is on your part.
Never had a delay before. I don't know what bug came down on us this evening, but we are having a delay. Um, all right, let me pull one of these links off and see if it will be any better. Remove. Good. All right. So yes, Dr. Nelson, Gabby was outlining for us, where we are. As I've said in the promo, we're discussing this evening some of the actions and the deliberation that is out in the space as it relates to dual citizens sitting in Parliament. You all would have heard the comments coming from the opposition as it relates to dual citizenship and their position on the issue. Several public commentators would have weighed in on that, and we bring this panel together this evening so we can have that discussion and sort of get to the root cause of why it is that we are derailing or delaying on something that there should be consensus on. So Gabby was just bringing us up to speed, and we welcome you, Dr. Nelson.
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead, Gab.
listening to.
Right. So I was saying, and I'll just backtrack just a few steps, just in case there were persons who joined in just now, to say that one of the recommendations that would have been made by the CRC was that there is a review specifically, along with other areas, but for the purpose of tonight's discussion, specifically a review of the matter of dual citizens related to the Commonwealth and otherwise, and to change that so that persons who are dual citizens, whether you are dual citizens of a country within the Commonwealth or not, you must not be allowed to serve in the Houses of Parliament. And that would have been a discussion that would have happened. I imagine, I'm not on the committee, but certainly based on the interviews I've heard, several discussion, a long discussion, and a conclusion brought to accordingly. And so at the point in which the report was to be signed so that it could be sent up to Parliament, there was an intervention made by the leader of the opposition through his proxy indicate that he had challenges, and this was one of the areas where he had a challenge. Dr. Nelson, you're laughing, and I'm not funny right now. But yes, to share that this was one of the areas where he had a challenge, and that he believes that dual citizens should be allowed to serve. And of course, that has sparked a very vibrant and important discussion as to what is the basis on which a People's National Party president of the People's National Party, who has been very loud and vocal on the matter of dual citizenship, who has said in no uncertain times, certainly in uncertain terms, times and time again, that they do not believe dual citizenship in Parliament, what has brought upon this about turn, as you would call it. And of course, it brought into discussion the matter of the leader and his allegiances to a foreign country, and the fact that those allegiances, as it is now, is a matter of a conflict of interest because he is a dual citizen. He's a citizen of Jamaica and he is also a citizen of the UK. How do we know he's a citizen of the UK? Well, Mr. Golding has himself admitted by virtue of saying that when he was a child, his father, who is a British citizen, applied for a passport on his behalf. Mr. Golding has also said that he has not sought to renew his British citizenship, the passport. But the matter of citizenship and renewal of passports are two separate issues. And I'm going to explain the reason he's making this specific point about renewal of passport. But before I do that, I want to explain how they are separate issues. They're separate issues because you can be a citizen of a country, for example, Jamaica, and not have a passport. You can be a citizen of a country, for example, the US, and not have renewed your passport because you have no intentions of traveling. In order to no longer be a citizen or to prove that he is not a citizen, Mr. Golding would need to present the country with a declaration of renunciation of his citizenship from the UK. He has not done that. And so there's no question as to whether or not he is a citizen. We know that this is a matter of fact. But Mr. Golding has worded intentionally the matter of not having renewed his passport because, if you remember, when Minister Vaz at the time was brought to court, the challenge was largely with the fact that his US passport was recently renewed. And that indicated, based on the documents I've read, that he had an intention to continue to keep the citizenship or to serve both allegiances. And that is where the problem comes in. So Mr. Golding is trying to suggest to us that by virtue of not having renewed his passport, it is to be accepted as an intention of not seeking to serve two sovereignties. The issue now, though, is that Mr. Golding does not serve at the level of Minister Vaz or MP Vaz in this case. Mr. Golding is seeking to be the head of the country. So what we expect from the head of the country is far greater than what we expect from our members of parliament. And that's not to say we don't hold them at high regard. Certainly we do, right? But we expect more. We do not expect that someone who is seeking to serve as prime minister of the country should be a citizen of another country. And in this case, a country from which we are seeking to remove our association. And so that is where we are now. And that is, I guess, the basis of which the conversation has been brought forward today. It is to discuss and to hear the views of others, to say, you know, why is it, again, as I have said, many people are suggesting that, in fact, the position taken by Mr. Golding has been taken by him because if it is to go through, if that specific, in particular, revision of the Constitution is to go through, it means that he would either have to step away from politics as Member of Parliament or renounce his British citizenship. Now, as a citizen of Jamaica, I must ask, why is it that you are seeking to lead the country but refuse, by virtue of what it appears now, to renounce the citizenship you have in another country? Those are my personal views, Mr. Nelson. Over to you. But you're muted.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, I can, Dr. Nelson.
I think
Oh, you're muted again. Yes, you're back now.
okay, so it's going back and forth. Maybe me Chopper muting me because Chopper know I'm a troublemaker.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, Gabby, wonderful presentation, and like the way you eloquently put the point out there. Nobody can say they don't know what we're discussing this evening
No.
and all the questions that are being raised. Well done, Gabby. But I have a question though, to start my piece off. You spoke about the situation where the JLP representatives were got into trouble, if you may, because of the dual citizenship. Thanks to I remember that saga. Mr. Abe Abdul was the man behind it, showing his rant and whatever reasons he had for doing that. But my question is, was it a case where the JLP, right, thought that dual citizenship was a good idea? Or was it a case where they were literally caught, or it was used as a tool, to railroad them, so to speak, for political gain, and not something that was thoroughly thought about in terms of the aftermath or the implications down the road, for the People's National Party reps who did that. I am thinking it was more a weapon used to just get some labor rights out of the way because of the
No
election.
question. There is no question about that, and that is why I suggested, and I want to say suggested because I'm not in their brain, so I can't speak on their behalf, but I can say what we know for a fact is that those persons who were brought before the courts as a result of being dual citizens, had they lost the by-elections, it would have been a turnover of the victory to the PNP.
Exactly, and that was the reason behind all of that. I remember the saga. I remember, what happened to Mr. Stern down in Northwest Clarendon, where I'm from.
To Shaquille Robinson, to Darren Faz.
Yes, Richard Hassan has a ball. He had a big celebration when when Stern got into trouble along that line. But look, so the question before us now is, why is the leader of the opposition suddenly making this kind of a turn? Does he have something to hide? And why is he not answering the question that Minister Vaz has out there for him? Give us a yes or no. Simple. Knock it out the ballpark. Is either you have it or you don't. Don't tell me about
question though. Let me ask you this though, guys. If it is that the answer to the question is yes, I have a passport for the United Kingdom, and I also have a passport for Jamaica. I'm a citizen of both countries. Isn't he on legal standing? Isn't he on legal grounds?
The answer to that question, Chopper, I don't know if I can give you that, because as a British subject, and based on where the Constitution is right now, one would think that yes, if you're a member of the Commonwealth or a citizen of the Commonwealth, you're able to go across countries that are Commonwealth connected and operate as if, on any level. But the question is, does that apply to a person who wants to be the leader of the country?
That is it.
As Gabby said earlier, where do you draw the line where that is concerned? I am not the expert to answer that question. What I can do, though, is after thinking about this, because I had a talk on this matter with Cliff Hughes nationwide a few days ago. And Cliff, if I quote him correctly, was concerned about the issue of dual citizenship along the lines of leaders or parliamentarians serving two masters, and the possibility of getting into problems and just taking a flight and run away, and nobody can reach them because they're gone to their other heaven. You have to do, yes. and then
And I
they'd have
make
to be extradited and all kind of nonsense like that. So we were discussing that, and I had to agree with Cliff Hughes on that matter. However, I have since thought about it some more, delve into it a little bit more, and I have some points I want to raise, Gabby, when you're through.
I was only going to interject to say, and I recalled this week, I don't know if you remember, President of the Senate, Stanley Redwood, who
Yes,
was serving during Portia Simpson Miller's time. And
yes.
how flabbergasted the nation was when he chose to leave Jamaica to go and take up his place in Canada because in his view, that was where the grass was greener. These are the type
Right.
of things we expose ourselves to when we have dual citizens serving in our houses of parliament.
And you call that conflict, conflicting loyalty. You know,
Absolutely.
that's one of the points that I have here because it is conflicting loyalty. And as you said, he ran away to the minute the pressure start, he had a exit strategy that he just
Locked
capitalized
up his
on.
entire family under the PNP as a
Oh yeah,
serving member of the PNP
and he
and
never need.
vibrated.
And
Gabby, you going hard, Gabby, because I didn't even remember that.
I
yes,
didn't
man.
forget. I
So
didn't forget because I remember how
so maybe
embarrassing. Though they didn't phrase it that way, but
yes,
I remember because it was during a very difficult time for the country, and I
yes.
remember I remember youth organizations like G2K saying, "Can you imagine? The rest of us have to stay here and suffer through
Mm-hmm.
the
The
governance of
decisions that he was a part of.
he has packed up his family and
Yes.
have
Dexter Rose.
abandoned
You remember
ship."
Dexter Rose, Chopper?
Yes, of course, I remember Dexter Rose.
All right, another guy who just took up and left.
So are you suggesting, guys, that based on the situation now with the opposition leader, though having dual citizenship under the current state of affairs where the constitution is concerned, he's quite eligible. However, based on what is being suggested by the constitutional reform committee, that no dual citizen should sit in the House of Parliament, you are now suggesting, Dr. Nelson and Gabby, that the opposition leader, no less a person than the opposition leader, would find himself in a conflicted position.
No
And
man's
you're
land.
suggesting, Gabby, that the man could just simply vote on an issue in Jamaica, it turned out messy, and him just pick up and cut.
Yes.
And Chopper, if that is not the case, if that is not your intention, then why have you not yet renounced your citizenship? I have said this before, on the platforms we have been discussing it previously this week. I have moved past the question of whether or not he is a dual citizen. It
Because
is
we
an
know that.
intelligence. He is. We know this as a
Yes.
fact. So I'm not asking that question anymore. The
Right.
question I'm asking is for a man who is seeking to serve the country at his highest level. Two questions
Yes.
I'm asking. As someone who is seeking to serve the country at its highest level, why do you not believe that it is important to renounce the citizenship you currently have from the country we are seeking to leave? And two, is it a direct conflict of interest
Hold on, I'm coming to you.
for
I'm coming
you
to you.
or Mark Golding to hold the country at ransom on the matter of us leaving the monarchy over issues like wanting to keep dual citizens in parliament? And should he remove himself from the process? Since there is a clear conflict of interest.
I think Jay on TikTok wants to ask a question or make a comment. Go ahead, Jay.
I wanted Mr. Vegas to be here. Good night again, everybody.
He's coming. He's finished up. He's going to be joining us very soon.
I saw him posted something on Twitter where I think he got it from the Constitution from England, where it was stating that if you renounce your citizenship to England, right, that you are still entitled to get it back if you had to renounce it to be a part of a Commonwealth country. right? So even if, based on that information right here, even if Mark Golding renounced his citizenship, he would be eligible to get it back, based on the fact that he's going to renounce that citizenship on the basis of him coming to serve a Commonwealth country. I wanted when Mr. Vegas come here, I know he would elaborate on it. That's why I never went further into the research to see what it was really saying. But I just wanted to add that to Gabby's point to say, even if he renounces citizenship at any other point in time, he can squeeze it back and go get it back.
Well, him should just do it and done then.
Exactly.
Because that's what that information is saying. You're always welcome, because if you have to renounce your British citizenship to go participate in a Commonwealth country or any of our colonized
But
countries.
guess what now, Jay? Guess what now, Jay? Jay, guess what now? Remember.
Hold on, Philippine. Hold on one second. We're
Sorry,
coming to you.
Jay.
Go ahead, Gabby. Go ahead,
Jay,
Gabby.
remember now, I thought it through quickly just now. Remember, it would still pose as an issue for him.
Under the new constitutional
structure, yes.
And that is where his really problem is.
That is where his issue is, and that is why the country is at a standstill right now.
So are you suggesting that Mark Golding's decision a few days ago to instruct his members on the CRC committee not to sign the letter, as he stated, he did that in the best interest of Jamaica and Jamaicans? Are you suggesting that the opposition leader was not being truthful?
I am suggesting, Chopper, that there's a conflict of interest. And we know that when there is a conflict of interest, what is in the best interest of the issue is for the person to step aside and allow persons who do not have that conflict to lead the process.
You see,
Philippine, go ahead.
I think Gabby cleared it up, because it would therefore make him ineligible in any way you take it.
Okay, got you. Go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
Yes, it's the same point I was about to make. I think he came on with this issue, with this argument, knowing full well all of what was just exchanged. If what Mr. Vegas, based on that call as information, stands true, and I have no reason to think that it wouldn't, then he understands that he has the choice of, denouncing his citizenship in Britain, if that is the case, and get it back under normal circumstances, as long as Jamaica remain a British subject. A member of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Now, the Jamaican move towards republics, towards becoming a republic, would create a lot of problems for him or anybody like him if that were to go through. So this is where the hitch, the blockage is. We cannot support anything that will bring Jamaica forward or closer to becoming a republic, as is the case with Barbados, because it would mean that our plan B would be disrupted. But the dual citizenship thing has a lot of holes in it. For persons to want to serve a country and be citizen of another country at the same time, it has a lot of holes in it. We can go down the list: perception of bias, ineligibility for handling of sensitive issues. You have to choose between the countries that you want to really focus on, the one you love better or the one you love more, when it comes to dealing with sensitive issues as a parliamentarian. Gabby talk about the conflict of interest. And it's also a security risk factor that has to be considered here.
Exactly.
So we're looking at a very serious scenario.
What is the specific security risk factor that you're picking up, Dr. Nelson? And I'm coming to you, Ms. Brown.
Vulnerable to influence or coercion from the other country. In other words, if you're a citizen of Britain and you love Britain more than Jamaica, and you're a citizen of Jamaica too, and something is going on between Jamaica and Britain. And Britain said to you, boss man, I need some information. You're in the parliament, I need to find out some things that Jamaicans are going on with, so we can know how to react to them and how to deal with it. Then you're in a position now to make up your mind whether you're going to give Britain that information or just protect Jamaica. So that's the kind of security. One example of the security issue, chaps. Where would you put your loyalty? Would you keep your loyalty to Jamaica as a parliamentarian, or would you give Britain information that Britain seek?
Very interesting, because I have a follow-up to that. But let me allow Miss Claudette Brown to come in. Claudette, you have a question?
Yes, good evening. That's the same thing I was saying to someone the other day. The reason why Mark Golding do not want to tell the people them not to sign off is because he knows his back is going to be against the wall, because he's a British citizen. And remember, in 2022 or 2021, he was the one stood up in Parliament and was pushing it on the Prime Minister to be a return Jamaican Republic. I don't know if because
decolonization. No, those were his words.
Yeah, because I never do him homework yet.
Decolonization, no, and also not to cut Claudette.
But he's gonna be against the wall, because if we turn a republic, he cannot sit in our parliament.
There you go.
Thank you, Claudette.
He said he said decolonization, no, and also went on to speak of foot and placement of feet. Go 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but expects that he must be allowed to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the matter of his dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship, guys, also provides for a parliamentarian what you might want to call blurred line of accountability, right?
Blurred line.
A blurred line, and then there will always be room for ambiguity around responsibility and accountability. You know what I'm saying? A potential for exploitation as well. Foreign powers can exploit you. As we said earlier, the one that you prefer would be the one that wins.
Let me just hear what Monsieur I don't want to call him Master Mark, but here
the yardstick is inappropriate and should be eliminated. My personal position is that as long as the person is a Jamaican citizen, it should not matter if they also have another citizen.
Hear that? Don't let you hear it. Let me just play it one more time. You guys can hear exactly.
The committee agrees that the
Chaps, we have a contribution from when I finish.
Yes,
is inappropriate and should be eliminated. My personal position is that as long as the person is a Jamaican citizen, it should not matter if they also have another citizenship, because
hear that? So he's saying that it should matter if you have dual citizenship. Let me just hear Winner. Winner, go ahead. Not hearing you. You're very low.
Under the dual citizenship, outside of that, really, can Mark Golding afford the Jamaica Labour Party to carry through this referendum and allowing our Prime Minister become more popular than he already is? If we should take Barbados as an example with Mia Mottley, straight out of that referendum, she called a snap election and she was a clear winner. A huge margin. Isn't it political suicide for Mark Golding to give us the way that we want and allow the referendum to take place?
Yes, I believe that's also a concern for them. And again, I know all of us have been paying attention to the discussions as they have been happening. And I recall one of the nominees, and I'm going to be intentional about saying nominee because he has been intentional about referring to himself solely as a nominee, not as an appointee of the leader of the opposition. But he has said that he believes, and very casually, that the process should be delayed until the next election. And one might ask, well, why would you request that it be delayed until the next election. It is because they are of the view that they are going to win and they want to be the one to make Jamaica a republic. But the reality is that if it does not happen now, it is very unlikely that it is going to happen again. Because right now we are poised more than we have ever been before. And the only thing that is holding up the process is the leader of the opposition and his personal views.
Mm-hmm. Well, it might not work out for him the way he's expecting it or hoping it, because the people of Jamaica are understanding what's going on. And if the people of Jamaica start to express their true positions as to whether or not they want to stay under the monarch or be a republic and truly freed, and the opposition leader is the obstacle in the way, that's not going to be too good for him either.
No.
So more information need to go out there to the people to let them know what's really going on, the grassroots of the country.
Not to mention the fact that he had also agreed on the matter of the CCJ, which I know is not what we're discussing now, but it is one of the matters he is suggesting is a part of his issue. He had agreed previously as well that the matter should be brought before a referendum, and again has now an about turn to say no referendum needed, because apparently the views of the people do not matter. Well, Mr. Golding is learning now that it does. And that is why he had to respond yesterday, or at least put out some semblance of a response yesterday on the matter of whether or not he's a citizen, because the people are speaking and the people will continue to speak. And the more we speak, the more they will understand that our opinions do matter, and that on matters regarding issues like whether or not dual citizens should serve in our parliament, we have an opinion. And on matters on what our highest court should be, we have an opinion. And a referendum would allow for us to voice those opinions.
But the next question, though, is, does the leader of the opposition really think that to make a statement the way that, as the one that he made, I am a born Jamaican, does he really think that is going to be enough to quench the appetite or the thirst of the populace of Jamaica?
What I can tell you is that quite a backlash. Quite a backlash was received, because no one is questioning whether or not he's a Jamaican. We know he's a Jamaican. We're not questioning that. What we're questioning is, where does your loyalty lie? Is it with Jamaica or is it with the UK? Right now, we cannot tell, because you're holding us ransom and you're refusing to announce your citizenship.
If Monday morning the leader of the opposition comes up with a document that says he has declared and he has renounced his citizenship, where do we go from there?
The next thing now would be, what are you going to do with regards to the government's push for the change of status for the nation?
And he says his position remains the same.
And I don't want to change, but I want to backtrack a little bit, because I forgot to make this point here. And it is on the matter of the phased approach.
No, we're not changing it. We're not changing it. I'm coming right back to you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gabby.
On the matter of the phased approach to issues like the CCJ, to say, if you recall, again, I don't want to stray because I know we're talking about dual citizenship, but if you recall, when the Constitutional Reform Committee was just being put together, the government was very clear on its position that a phased approach would be used to take us to issues like whether we keep the Privy Council or we move to the CCJ. Mr. Golding delayed the appointment of his nominees, or the recommendation of his nominees on the basis that he had a challenge and wasn't certain that the committee would be effective, etc. He was reassured that this was the position the government was taking and was allowed to make recommendations, which he did. And even at that point, again, the government reiterated its position that it believed a phased approach would be the best approach. So this phased approach conversation is not a new conversation. It's a conversation.
You knew about it long ago.
long ago. And again, this why it begs the question as to why now this sudden outrage. Why the sudden I don't agree when all along the government was very clear in its position. A phased approach would be used, beginning removing the country from the monarchy, and then the next phase would treat with issues like the Privy Council and the CCJ. Very, very intentional about its position.
Yeah, you got someone on TikTok wanted to make a point just now.
Genuine one, what's up?
All right, good night, everyone. I've been hearing the discussion, but there's something I don't see other person considering or thinking about. All right, if the Constitution were to come into effect, based on the Constitution.
Truth Seeker, Chopper, you see that comment by Truth Seeker? I couldn't agree more. This situation is like someone wanting to get married to you while still being fully committed to their ex.
Truth Seeker have the thing, worked out thoroughly. Truth Seeker understand the game.
Dr. Nelson.
No, but seriously though, on the position of the government.
No, hold on, Dr. Nelson. I see what happened. You couldn't hear him a while ago. There's a gentleman on TikTok who wants to make a point. Sorry about that. Go ahead, guys.
All right. Good night again, everybody. What I'm saying is that if the proposed constitution was to come into effect now, right? And there's a provision, and the provision in it which says that you cannot have a dual citizenship to serve in parliament. Once it comes into effect, one golden concern, in my estimation, is that you'd have to resign from parliament. So I think I'm wondering more or less if that is what he's worried about.
Good point. Mute your mic. Go ahead, Gabby. Doc, you want to take that up? He's on the same page.
My brethren, yes, it's pretty much the same thing we've been saying, because as it is right now, he can play this kind of game, go back based on what I'm hearing, Mr. Vegas' research, I haven't seen the research, I'm not too sure about this, I'm just taking the caller's word for it. If that research that Mr. Vegas allegedly found is true, then the man can denounce his citizenship in England and pick it up a year or two later on if he so choose. However, when the new constitutional structure is in effect and Jamaica becomes a republic, it's a different ball game. You cannot you cannot wheel and come again.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
What Doc is saying is exactly my point, and that's the point I was trying to make. He can renounce his citizenship to get to do what he's doing and go back and get it another year or two. That's my point exactly. He can renounce it to facilitate the situation now or the issue now. Go get it, but I'll send it to you and you can share it to the others.
Please.
Yes. I love to
say
so
that. That's a serious position to be in there though, Gabby. A doc where you can actually renunciation, Gabby, as you're requesting, might not be the end all and be all, because just by renouncing doesn't really mean anything.
I don't have any comments, Chopper, because I don't have that information.
Because well, if what Jay is saying here, that based on what we're finding out, that because the truth is, that's why I'm waiting for Sharon Hay to come on, because Sharon Hay was a former member of parliament who was impacted during the time when we had the court cases against dual citizens. Yes. And I wanted to find out from her, what's the process of after renunciation, and if you so desire to go back for your citizenship, what's the process? That's something I'd love to hear from her and anyone who have been so impacted, so that could sort of clarify where we are. Because if that is the case, then we are in a spot of bother there. No.
I'm just checking Chopper to see how true, how accurate that information is.
Yeah, go ahead, Philippian.
U.S. citizen or a British citizen?
U.S. citizen.
I don't think you can get it back once you renounce for U.S.
So here's another part of it, guys, that we probably need to take a look at. There's a difference between citizenship of a Commonwealth country and citizenship of a non-Commonwealth country. In the case of Mark Golding, we're speaking specifically to Commonwealth country. And I'm assuming that this situation is different from what is being suggested by the CRC. CRC is saying that no dual citizen, whether Commonwealth citizens or not, should not be allowed to sit in the parliament. So that's him. And Mark Golding, counter to that, is saying that he has no problem with any dual citizen sitting in parliament, meaning therefore that a dual citizen who lives in the United States, who says on their constitution that a non-citizen of the United States cannot sit in their parliament. But we want to allow a US dual citizen holder to sit in our parliament. You're not seeing that something is wrong there?
Let us look at it from, I'm playing the devil's advocate now, Chopper.
Yes.
And sometimes I do this.
Yes.
But let us say that the opposition leader is looking at political expediency, for argument's sake, to attract diasporans, to the party, the PNP. And maybe he's looking for people in the diaspora to run for office and to support his interest. Right?
It's also rumored.
So you think this was a political ploy?
Could this, yes. You remember, the man just came back from the diaspora.
I was just going to say, before he left for Florida, the argument is that before he left for Florida, he was anti-dual citizenship, at least certain countries that are not within the Commonwealth.
And he make a run to the diaspora and the music change.
And then he comes back and he tells us we need more senators.
Yes.
And we should allow people to serve as both members of parliaments and senators, regardless of whether or not they are solely Jamaican citizens.
So in consultations with his friends overseas, he came back with some grand ideas.
He believes that if you live anywhere else outside of Jamaica, you should be able
to serve.
To hop on a plane on a Friday morning and sit in Senate and have discussions and hop back on the plane Friday evening.
Make laws from me and you.
And make laws that affect the country that affect our country, but do not affect them, essentially. So yes, so there are discussions that suggest that the basis on which his position is the way it is now is because of the conversations that would have happened there. Some people are suggesting that he has made promises for positions, etc. I mean, clearly we have no proof of that, so I can't speak on it from a place of
knowledge.
But certainly the position appears to have changed subsequent to his return from his diaspora meeting.
Quick research just proves that if you register with the UK office when you're renunciating your British citizenship, you can always get it back.
Yeah, so I checked as well. It appears to be true that if you renounce your citizenship, you can get it back. You just need to reapply, essentially. And unless you are found to be in bad character or you have some legal issues or you falsified information, you are likely to get back your citizenship. But for me, I ask the question even more. If you apply and get it back
to their office, you can get it back.
Yeah, so for me, it begs the question even more. Then, if you can apply and get it back, what is this semantical conversation about not having not having renewed a passport? What is this conversation or this positioning that does not appear to be interested in renouncing the citizenship? Even when people question your loyalty as someone seeking to serve as the head of government, one thing we know for sure is that our current prime minister has loyalty to Jamaica and Jamaica alone. And as a Jamaican, that is important to me. As a Jamaican, it is important to me that my leader's best interest is solely and always in what is in the best interest of Jamaica and Jamaica alone. And
I don't know if you can see that on the screen, Gabby.
I can't speak. I can zoom in, I think. Yes. I can't speak on behalf of Mr. Golden in that regard. Yes, I can see.
But how interesting is it though? Let's recap a little bit of what we've been discussing. Jamaica is trying to put together its move to free us finally. And I say free because it's more than, the emancipation and, independence was, in my opinion, a kind of a pseudo freedom. And the ultimate freedom would be to renounce the monarch, move away from Britain, and become stand on our own 2 feet as a nation. How ironic is it that as we try to push forward with this, the leader of the opposition is putting up barriers in the path of this kind of a progress? How can you, stand before the people of Jamaica, even your own group of PNPs, and tell them that you are going to delay the process?
That he is prepared to wait, in his own words. I am prepared to wait, he says.
Prepared to wait on what or for what? Until you can get into office?
It's no big deal. It is no big deal. It is no big deal, essentially.
May I suggest to you guys, and here's another part that you have to look at. Because there's a consistent pattern here that I think you guys will be able to figure out. You're talking about a gentleman who recently would have taken certain action within the political party that he leads, which is to change the constitution of his party to facilitate and to ensure that no one... Can you please mute your mic, please? Yeah, he took action within the political party that he serves that prevents anyone from within that political party from challenging him. Did you know that?
No, you understand what I meant when I spoke.
Just a year or so ago, he took action within the political party that he serves.
Yes, I am aware of that.
No one within the party can challenge him for leadership. He did that.
I am aware of that.
And now he's taking action as a party again in support of the government to prevent us from moving towards preventing dual citizens from sitting in the House of Parliament. And he's taking action to prevent what could have an effect on him personally. Now I'm saying to you, isn't there a consistent pattern of somebody who is operating in his self-interest, in the best interest of Mark Golding and not the best interest of Jamaica? Isn't that consistent?
There is one adjective, Chopper. And I don't know if you remember me using that adjective the other night on this very platform. It is called demagoguery.
Well, I have another one. It's called dictator.
Yes.
Narcissist.
And not
Right?
Go ahead.
Let me know when I can come in. Good evening, guys.
I'll come to you. Go ahead, Lynette.
Let me know when I can come in, Jay.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynette.
Quick question.
Where's Jay? Jay.
Clear on this, because Britain is Commonwealth and Jamaica is Commonwealth, and is citizen of Jamaica. Persons are out there saying that it's not a problem for him to have dual citizenship.
It's not a problem. It's not
So,
illegal.
it's not illegal.
No.
So if it's not illegal, then I just want to be clear, because when I'm speaking, I want to know what to say.
If it's not illegal, you're asking what is the problem? What is the issue?
What
No,
is
but not
Go ahead.
being illegal, does not mean that they are not ethical concerns.
Take you out of the box, and I'm not going to allow
Alright.
you to come back in.
Yeah, I think I want to back up a little bit as well. I did go over this when we just started, but I
Yes.
know the specific point, especially, is a point that a lot of people are not clear on. So I don't mind repeating.
Please.
So the first part of the question is, he is a citizen of the UK, and as a citizen of the UK, our current constitution allows for him to serve in the Houses of Parliament. Is that true? The answer to that is yes, it is true. As a citizen of the Commonwealth, our constitution, which was passed down to us by the Queen, is deeply entrenched that you are able to serve as a citizen of the Commonwealth. Why is it so that's the first part of the answer to that is yes. Why then is it a discussion? It is a discussion because it was brought back up as we look to reform our constitution, as we look to leave the monarchy. What we mean by reform, just to be clear, we're looking to change some parts of our constitution that do not serve us. And one of those parts is the matter of dual citizens and whether or not they should be allowed to serve in our parliament. Part of the recommendation that has come down from the CRC is that dual citizens should not be allowed to serve, and it doesn't matter anymore based on the new recommendation whether or not they are from the Commonwealth or not, because again, that matter was put in by the persons who wrote our constitution before. It was handed down to us. So now that we're looking to leave the monarchy, we want to change that, and we do not want to allow any dual citizen to serve in the Houses of Parliament. Mr. Golding, who before, as a member of the PNP, has expressed several times that he does not support dual citizens serving in the Parliament, when at that time he thought it meant only for US citizens, indicated that he does not believe US citizens should serve. Know that the constitution reform will require a change which will prohibit him from serving, not intentionally, but by virtue of us wanting only sole Jamaicans to serve, or Jamaicans with single citizenship, as I see some persons in the chat have put it, wanting only them to serve. He has indicated that he does not approve of that, and that he has taken issue with it. And so that is why the discussion is being had. It's not the old constitution, it is the new constitution that does not allow for people who are dual citizens to serve in Parliament. Mr. Golding himself, because he did not believe in dual citizenship, brought Norman Horn, as I say, Lennox Brown, reminding us to court so that he could put Mr. Bunting in. Okay, so the conversation is not about the constitution that exists now. It is the one we're looking to change, and the one we're looking to change says no dual citizen in government. And Mr. Golding don't want that, because it means he would have to give up his citizenship or step away from the Parliament.
Is it a case where, Gabby, just putting something out there, the troublemaker is right here. Is it a case where Mr. Golding is protecting the stipulations of the monarch?
Again, that conversation has been put out, and that is why the whole matter of conflict of interest has come in. That's why he has now adopted names like King Boy by people like Vegas, who was to join us tonight, and Marky British by others who are making comedy on Twitter. It is because people are of the view that he is protecting the interest of the king he serves.
Yes.
The king
where would you put him? MI5 or MI6?
Is there MI7?
Gabby, you're bad.
Yes, so I hope that that's brought up. I'm not seeing Chopper anymore, so I'm not sure if the people on TikTok are still tuned in.
Everybody's hearing you loud and clear. Once I'm off the screen, you're all good. Lord.
And I see somebody saying that the conversation is repetitive. And yes, sometimes it feels that way, but it is because people are tuning in at different points. And it is because a lot of people's positions are formed based on parts of information that they get in WhatsApp chats and that they see on social media. And full context is important. And as a
And
people, it's important that we question things and we delve into reasoning and try to figure out why people take the positions that they take. And that's a part of what we're trying to explain to you all tonight. It's not casual. It's not a casual not wanting US citizens to serve after before he had no issue. It is because it means he will have to renounce his citizenship or step away from the parliament.
it becomes personal, which is why he's reacting, because he finally realized how personal this thing is going to be. And it would
Because
lead him.
it's an about turn. It's a
I'm
sudden
from St.
turn.
Mary.
Yes, yes. He's just realizing how personal it's going to be and how much it would affect him, and leave him in the middle of no man's land. That's where the problem is.
Precisely.
But the question is, we have to let the listeners know, those who are not aware of the disadvantages of the dual citizenship thing.
Yes.
I had my questions about it earlier when I spoke with Cliff Hughes, and I was saying, well, these are modern days, and maybe we need to look at it through some modern lens. But when I took some time, Chopper, and took
Yes.
a good look at the whole thing, I have to come to the conclusion that it is not good. It
Yes.
is not good. You cannot run your country, and this is perhaps why the United States is very serious about who can serve at what level of the country and why. If you're a sovereign nation and you want to be independent of influences that you're not, that you don't want to embrace as a nation, you cannot have leaders at the top of your government who are serving two masters.
Precisely, Dr. Nelson, precisely, Adrian Bent. You cannot serve two masters. And this is not a new position. Even as we discuss the Commonwealth and people and constitutions coming down and how a lot of our constitutions were written that way, I think it's important to also say that there are other countries in the Commonwealth whose constitutions were written that way, who have since made changes. So, for example, in Australia, right, which is a country of the Commonwealth, previously you were able to serve if you were a dual citizen of the Commonwealth. You cannot no longer. You must only be a citizen of Australia. And again, I repeat, Australia is a country in the Commonwealth.
Yes.
But no longer can you. They have changed their constitution to say if you want to serve the people there, if you want to be a member of parliament and serve the constituents and the people of the country, you must be dedicated. And what does dedication look like for a politician? You must be committed to the people and you must serve only one master, and that is the people who have elected you. No other body, no other country, only the country that to where you are elected to serve.
Joshua, you had a comment or a question?
My commentary really is it's really a tag along on the current conversation. Thank you very much, by the way. Good evening, everyone.
No problem.
Because I think Lynette is her name, I'm not quite sure. She mentioned about serving two masters, and in the event of a dispute between, in this particular case, Britain and Jamaica, who will they make a decision in favor of here? Because, and owing to the fact that Britain is larger, stronger, at this particular point in time, let's say he's prime minister, as happened in the past with the Falkland Islands and Britain, where they were at war with each other. Who would you make a decision in favor of? And then this puts us in a position that is untenable to have our leader being a dual citizen. That's one. The second situation that we find ourselves in is that this man was quite vociferous, as it relates to the debate on dual citizenship. And the lady alluded to it earlier, where Norman Horn was asked to make a decision. That the only way he could serve in the Senate, he had to renounce his U.S. citizenship. Yes, it was not a Commonwealth citizenship, right, elsewhere, but nonetheless, he insisted that this is the case. The JLP was also taken to court for the very matter dual citizenship. Sharon Hill Webster, who was not born here in Jamaica, right? So she got her citizenship by birth elsewhere, and she renounced hers because she was taken to court. Yes, there wasn't a follow-on, and she renounced hers because of the challenge by the People's National Party. So what makes Mark Golding so much different from everyone else? And he sat in our parliament, sat in our Senate, being a part of the People's National Party at the time, knowing all of this happening and remained silent. And now he's vying for one of the highest office in the land, which is that of Prime Minister. And because it doesn't suit him, right, because he realizes that the Constitution is now going to be amended or changed, then suddenly he wants to squeal, right, because everything is centered around Mark Jefferson Golding. I think that's hypocritical and immoral of him. And he should be asked to step aside. He should be. At least that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Just
I come to you. Let me just have Dr. Nelson respond and I come back to you.
yes, the gentleman made this point very clear, and he's echoing some of our very sentiments here. But look, the last vestige of colonialism that still hovers over Jamaica is the monarch. The last vestige of raw colonialism that still hovers over Jamaica and engulfs our constitution and us as a people is the fact that we are still under the monarch. Now, for us to be free, truly free as a nation, we're going to have to shake this thing off our backs. Now we're making the effort to do so. We have a leader of one of our major political parties being the sole objector to this fact. There is no other way to put it. For personal reasons. It's like the man wake up last night and realize that if this process goes forward and happen faster than he wanted to, then he is in the middle of nowhere, and he would have to renounce his position as leader of the opposition and step aside perhaps, or do some quick work to get himself really recognized as a true Jamaican by citizenship and no other.
Just before Regal come in there, Dr. Nelson, let me just ask you this though. On the matter of renunciation, if he renounces, does it kill the whole situation?
Not under the current constitution that we hold. But when, as we kept saying, but when the change happens, he's going to be in the middle of nowhere. He's going to have to make up his mind to be a Jamaican and a Jamaican only. Mm-hmm. The question is, does he want to do that? I don't think so. This is why he's at where he's at. He does not want to do that.
Regal, go ahead.
Good night, everyone. Am I talking? Good evening, everyone. Enjoying the conversation so far. I hope what I'm about to say, I wouldn't lose the common thread and the trust of the argument. But let me start out by saying this. Loyalty to truth and commitment to purpose is the highest and most valued mark or indicator of good leadership.
Say that again.
I want to say mark.
Loyalty to
Loyalty to truth. Loyalty to truth.
And commitment to purpose.
And commitment to purpose
is the highest indicator of good leadership.
There you go.
All right. Correction.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, sir. That is true. Go ahead. Carry on.
Sir.
I'll continue to say this, you see, that based on my observation of Mark as a person and as a character, let me say something. For those of you who is expecting Mark to behave differently, did not realize that the PNP was hijacked and turned into a franchise. So we're talking to the risers, not the PNP. So it paid for them. So therefore, in all his quest for what is good again, is seen as repayment. Let us not fool ourselves in this purpose and this mission. He told us clearly that it will be shared and dispersed among him and his Japanese friend. What is he talking about? Those people in the Namtown? Certainly not. So let me just put that out there for him to kind of chew on. But let me also say this. Whenever we sort of speak on a topic, it's very useful that we bring the level of awareness that it covers the demography in a comprehensive way. That when we talk about the Constitution, for example, we're talking to everybody. It's close. And what is going to make that a reality is education. And I'm talking about the type of education that you can, I would say, remedialize. It covers a demography that is comprehensive. I think that's a valuable thing for us to practice. Endeavors. Because it will bring the message and get feedbacks on it and perspective. And therefore that will help us to make the adjustment as we go along, because nothing that is changing ever change immediately and everything goes right. For the nuances, the variables, it's something that was foreseen, and the point you can flow with them. Dedicated and committed to educating for the change that we now see and that is very vivid. And the Constitution is the bedrock rock on which everything else lies.
Thank you.
And all right, it means that anything can happen and chaos is easily triggered. I just rest at this point.
Thank you, sir. Joshua, you're doing a follow-up just now?
Yes, sir. One other thing I find quite disingenuous pertaining to the current leader. First of all, he pretended as if he was changes. In fact, if we go back to 2021, he came out of the blocks loudly, clearly, after Barbados moved away from the Commonwealth, shouting from the top of the hill to say, now is the time. Not only did he say now is the time, but he said that there is consensus between both opposition and government on the matter.
Right.
Having said that, he did not twin it with the CCJ. And we have to keep these things in mind. Fast forward 2024, everything went on the table again. In fact, let me go back. He pivoted back to the 60s when he said that this has always been on the cards from the 60s. Then he went back to the 90s and said, hey, we have been having this discussion, but no government seemed to have the political acumen, and I'm just paraphrasing here a bit for him, the acumen and the strength to move it forward. Now, 15 persons, including 6 persons who are known, well, 3 directly from his party, 3 others who are known to be supporters of the People's National Party, took time out for 1 year away from their families, away from their jobs, and other commitments that they may have. Yes, they might have been compensated somewhat. And he never seemed to have expressed any form of disgruntlement against it. The only one that he expressed, according to what came out on the news, so I'm not speaking anything that is not known, is that there was the whole matter of impeachment that was brought up. Out of good faith, the AG decided, let us just delay it a bit for his purpose. They did all of that. He didn't express anything else against it. And at the 9th hour, you want to hijack the process. Now, he claimed initially he wrote to say and signed leader of the opposition. Then when the pressure came on him, then all of a sudden, it is his opinion. Okay, which of the 2 are you speaking of? Is it your opinion or is it the leader of the opposition opinion? we're gonna facilitate you for a minute and
But we lost him, I think.
society.
We lost him.
We're asking the youth who gave their time, that international lawyer that was a part of the committee, and everyone.
You're hearing him,
else,
Gabby, right?
just
I'm
so
here.
that the leader
Yeah,
of the
no.
opposition can have his own way. But if you're not speaking as the leader of the opposition and you're speaking in your own capacity, then you're only speaking of self-interest. So whichever way you take it, it is not about Jamaica anymore. It is about what either the People's National Party want to the detriment of Jamaica, or it's what the Mark Golding wants, still to the detriment of Jamaica. So Jamaica is never on the forefront. And at any stretch, using any marker, it is still bad for Jamaica. Now, he needs to make up his mind. Now, the question was asked, and I want to close here. If at this time he renounces it, if it will make a difference. For me, it will not make a difference because it's a matter of trust for me.
Broken trust.
If we can't trust you to keep your word, if we can't trust you to do what is right, and you were there and you were pressuring other persons, and you were saying it's inappropriate publicly, on news, in the public sphere, and whilst you were in the very same position. So we can't take your word for it. If you are the Prime Minister of Jamaica tomorrow, how do we know that we can take your word for it? Thank you.
Well said. I don't know if go ahead, guys.
Excellent
Well,
input,
very
Joshua.
good point. Yes.
Very
but
good point.
But you see, it's the big issue there, the erosion of trust. Already started with him even before the this is one of the cornerstones of the dual citizenship thing. When you have leaders in that position, trust is never a concrete thing,
Yes.
In equitable representation is a high possibility whereby they can simply say, I am going to be more loyal to Britain, even though I sit in the Parliament of Jamaica. Jamaica is a small country, Britain have more money. So if the Prime Minister want me to do something and screw Jamaica over, I will do it. What is there to stop me? So these are some of the hallmarks, and this gentleman really put together a very clear and concise point, on the whole issue. So, the opposition leader is also the opposition to Jamaica moving forward and shedding what I call the last vestige of colonialism.
Yeah.
So it's really the opposition guy in more ways than one.
Agreed. Gentlemen, this has been a very fruitful discussion for me. I'm very, very happy to have joined. This is my first time on the chopping block.
Oh, you're on Chops Media.
Yeah. But I do have to jump off now. But thank you so much for inviting me.
And you'll be back.
Pleasure to meet you, Dr.
Just
Nelson.
tell everybody that you'll be back.
Same here.
Tell everybody that you'll be back,
Thanks
Gabby.
to all the persons who were giving their input in the chat. Again, this is a very new experience for me, so it's very exciting to see people sharing and see how many people sharing the views, how many people are keeping the conversation alive. I see them have a thing going around on Twitter now about how people are being paid to keep the conversation alive. Not true. People are not being paid.
True.
People are concerned.
Absolutely.
People are concerned.
No, this is a deep matter.
Talk about matters. That is what is happening.
Yeah.
It is a real issue. It's not something you can just expect to pass away in 9 days. It's a real conversation, a real concern. And so
Yes.
even the people who don't agree with our views, very happy to see them, because it's important to get other people's views so that you can think about your positioning and respect other people's views and see, how we can impact your opinion. So very great discussion, guys. Thank you so much for having me. And, I look forward to coming back again.
Absolutely.
All
And let
right,
me say
Gabby.
thank you to Gabby. I appreciate it.
All right. No problem.
And we look forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
Thank you, folks. So that was Gabby, and we hope to have Gabby again to interact with us. But very interesting there, Dr. Nelson. I wanted to touch on the matter of diaspora, because based on what we are deducing from this conversation, and I'm just saying this so the folks on TikTok can also weigh in on this. The diaspora would be impacted where this decision is concerned. If it is that Marky, what he's now called Marky British, has his way. If he has his way, it means that anybody with dual citizenship, whether you're a British, whether you're a Commonwealth or not, you would be given an opportunity to serve in Jamaica's parliament. Now, for persons in the United States who are members of the diaspora there, and folks in let me not say Canada, because that's a Commonwealth as well. But let me just zero in on the United States, Dr. Nelson. How this whole idea of Jamaicans serving in Parliament in Jamaica while being a citizen of the United States, how is that viewed in your space in the diaspora?
It it will simply fall under some of the very points that we already mentioned. Chopper. The it opening up avenues for diasporans to serve in the Jamaican government, right? Would be a rather interesting dynamics, but at the same time, we would have to look at it from the perspective of would it or would it not serve Jamaica's best interest? We have to look at it from the perspective of what would be the disadvantages, or are there any advantages? What is there? How does it measure up? From the perspective of law and logic. Some of my points that I pointed out earlier are suggesting, and my own research into the whole thing, from that very point of view, law and logic, telling me that it would be nonsensical. Jamaicans in the diaspora can do whatever they want to go home, back and forth. Citizens of the United States, go back and forth, help your country, do the remittance, do what you do, try and help your country as much as you can. But if you are not 100% loyal to your country, to the point where you can serve at the highest offices or in the parliament of the land, then it should not be allowed, in my opinion. I've gotten to the point where I'm thinking, no, clear-headed, that it cannot be allowed. However you spin it, it is pointing towards blurred line of accountability, ambiguity, right, around the idea of true and solid representation on a national front.
But why would there be such a push, though, for persons who live in the United States, who has gained citizenship in the United States? Why do you think that it would be important for those persons to want to come back and serve in the Jamaican Parliament without renouncing their citizenship to the United States? Why would that be so important?
Very good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. The only possibility I can think of, it's blind politics.
Yes.
Even to suggest that people from the diaspora be allowed, citizens, I should say, from the diaspora be allowed to even put on protests against the country to which they are no longer citizens, against a government that they are no longer connected to as citizens. It's ludicrous.
I think that there's something wrong there, Dr. Nelson, because if you look at it from the United States side, there has to be some high level of conflict on the side of the U.S. Constitution. When you obtain citizenship in the United States, you pledge allegiance to the United States.
Yes.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm prepared to go and do the research and get legal counsel on this, because if you pledge allegiance to the United States and you go to another country to participate at that level, there is a conflict of interest.
And you're in violation
And you're in violation of the very oath you took
that you
to the
took.
United States.
Precisely.
So every American citizen who comes to Jamaica and participate in the electoral process and vote here, there is a problem.
Illegal.
A matter of fact, I read recently that while the United States is okay with persons, only in some countries, because they have a list of countries under the US Constitution that you can actually obtain dual citizenship for. It's not blanket across the board. There are selective countries that you can get dual citizenship for. And I'm saying to you, even with that stipulation in the Constitution of the United States, it also said that both the country that you have acquired dual citizenship with and the United States, both countries can invoke their law at any time. That's what the law says. Therefore, if you obtain citizenship in the United States, and by virtue of what you sign on to, the US can say to you at any time, they can invoke the law that says you are a subject of the United States, you've pledged allegiance to the United States, and therefore, if you vote for another country, if you take part in the electoral process of another country, it means and could be interpreted that you're taking up arms against the United States. And if you read the Constitution of the United States, once you do that, you have gone into a pathway now of treachery.
Yes.
And the US don't take kindly to that.
Yes. That's a good way of looking at it, because
So I think there is something there, and I'm prepared to really do some work on that this week to find out, and Doc, you can probably help us with that to see if we can find out from the US end what is the issue there, because there has to be an issue. If you pledge allegiance to the United States and vote in another jurisdiction, that could be interpreted as a conflict, and if you are conflicted to the level where it borderline treason, the US don't go very kindly with that one.
there's a gray area right there now, and I'm going to step out in the open to say that this is a situation that is fairly new on the horizon, and worth investigating or worth looking into, as you alluded to earlier. It is the kind of thing that is getting a lot of popularity. In the last election, I was told that a lot of persons from outside of Jamaica, citizens who did not renounce their Jamaican citizenship but became citizens of other countries, went back home to vote. And so we do have an issue there that need to be resolved. There's a gray area that we need to look into and try to bring some resolution to that as much as possible. But I hear you. It doesn't make sense. However you look at it, it is suggestive of a problematic situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is really something that I really believe that we can, and I said to you, Doc, you can probably help us with looking at, do some research on it and see, because
I'll take a look at it.
has
I'll
to
do my
be,
best.
yes, there has to be something there. I mean, it cannot be that, because voting in another country is almost equal to renewing your passport for another country. Voting is a constitutional function.
You can't be voting in two places.
And if you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote. So yes, go ahead.
If people are so interested in voting, why don't they book a ticket and go home and vote?
But you can. But what I'm saying to you, in addition to that, Jay, you're
I
right.
know you can. So why are they saying give the diaspora the
But,
ability to vote?
but
Go
that's
home and vote.
but that's not the problem because the diaspora already. That's not the problem I'm highlighting. What I'm alluding to. Go
That's
ahead, Josh.
already
You can
happening.
probably sum it up. Go ahead, Josh.
Right. So that's not what I get him to be saying. The problem exists is how have you renounced your citizenship in one country, but you still want the right to participate in the affairs of that country? So you are not committed to the country, but you want to participate in who becomes sit in the seat of governance.
Right.
And that's where the issue lies.
But
You know,
Right.
then, Joshua, if you are so inclined to what is happening there, go there and vote. Go and see what is happening there. Don't stay on your phone and see what is happening in your country. If you are run a business, because we are taxpayers, right? If you are run a business, there are days when, yes, you're not going to be at your business place. So you need to go there sometime, go and do your audit, sit down, see how things are operating. And it comes back to going back home to Jamaica. Don't stay there. Just like the person that was at the protest, somebody said, "Oh, when last have you been home? I have not been home in 20 years. So how you are gonna tell me, say, St. Thomas, you have not been home in 20 years, and yet you are telling me, say, the country court. You don't know what is going on at your business
Precisely.
place. So
Precisely.
you need to book a ticket, come home, spend a few days, and know what you're voting for. Either I'm voting for this government because this government is doing a good job, or no, they're not doing a good job in terms of infrastructures. You get what I'm saying? If you are so inclined, pick up yourself and go vote at your yard.
But if you're so inclined, what I'm saying to you, in addition to that, Jay, if you're so inclined to vote, then you must pledge allegiance to the country that you desire to vote. I am saying that you should not be even given the opportunity to get on a flight to Jamaica and vote.
If you renounce your Jamaican citizenship
Once you have acquired citizenship and pledge
elsewhere,
allegiance to another state, you
Right.
should not be allowed to vote in Jamaica. Whether you come on a plane, a boat, a ship, or you walk your foot, you should not be allowed to vote in Jamaica.
and that is the point. That is the point that is on the
Hold
table
on a
right
second
now.
here. Go ahead. Go ahead. Who was it? Was it Joshua first or Regal? Who was it? Jay?
No, go ahead, Joshua. All right, thank you. I was looking at the Pledge of Allegiance for America, and I found something very interesting here. As part of the pledge, it says one nation,
Under God.
indivisible. Indivisible. So it says the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible. Now that word is very important because what it's speaking of is making sure you don't have divided loyalty or split loyalty.
And that's what.
And that's my concern here. The scripture puts it this way: no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other.
Yep.
You're going to be conflicted at some point or the other. And if you're so convicted in your heart that this is the place that I love so much, to the extent that I want to serve and I want to give my best to this country, what does it take for you to say, boy, you know what, since I love this place so much, it is not a problem. Win, lose, or draw, I have to respect Darrell Vaz. I have to respect Warmington. They voluntarily, and I have to
Shahini.
respect
Sharon Hay Webster, yes.
Right, they voluntarily give it up. No pressure. Yes, it was triggered by a court case, but they didn't fight it. They gave it up. What does it take for someone who wants to be prime minister to give it up? And again, we come back to a matter of trust, because I want to take the argument just a little bit further. I for a few years now, I remember Fenton Ferguson saying, some years ago when they lost the first election, that part of the reason they lost the election is those persons who came over from the Jamaica Labour Party who did not go through PNP schools, and as a result of that, they are not loyal to the PNP. Notice with the word that they use, loyalty, which speaks of commitment. One of the things that I have found out in the process is that they have an indoctrination class at the People's National Party, and a couple of them have spoken about it. And my reason for being frightened about this is that they are feeding them false information, which is detracting from the true history of Jamaica. And the leader is aware of this. They are doing nothing to protect the name of Jamaica. So again, when we connected to the protest the other day in the United States, which he was aware of, didn't say anything about it, didn't do anything to stop it. Now we have an indoctrination class which is whitewashing our history, twisting our history, conducted by them, right? What it says is that these people are not committed to Jamaica, and now we find out that the leader has dual citizenship, of which he was quite vociferously opposed to, at least in the public sphere. Come on, man, come on, folks. For those, no matter how loyal you are, take off your orange cloak and begin to look at it objectively and make a decision.
Go ahead, Rigo. Everybody else, mute your mic, please.
Joshua,
Hold on a second. General, hold on a second.
Hold on, genuine one. We have Rigal and then we can come in after.
Alright, yeah, I'll be brief though. But here's one of my concerns. Most of the time, you see, I'm talking based on my experience. When a person makes, say, a commitment to, in terms of a go to, say the United States, I think most of the time it's more like an economic commitment rather than a political one. And then there is the challenge of you know, wanting to be there economically, and at the same time you are politically committed to your country. Now, that's a great challenge when you look at it in a grander scope of things. I mean, you have to put your loyalty, yes, but then again, food has to be on the table.
But you know, there's a difference between citizenship. There's a difference between citizenship and residency. So the economically thinking guy would obtain residency to facilitate their economic condition. That's fine. But when you step up on that platform in front of that United States flag and you pledge allegiance to the United States, you have a responsibility to respect that. And when you jump on a flight to Jamaica to participate in the electoral process here, it means that you're pissing on the American flag. That's what you're doing. You're being disrespectful and you're being disingenuous. So my position on the issue is that absolutely no dual citizen. Once you take up citizenship elsewhere, you should not be allowed to vote in Jamaica. And a matter of fact, the American government should start to explore and examine the Constitution of the United States and possibly start thinking about bringing charges to those persons who have booked tickets to Jamaica and come here and vote. They have violated a law, and I'm going to find that law. I am going to dig into the United States Constitution for the next week, and I'm going to find it. Because I believe that there's a violation there.
There has to be. Has to be.
Good evening, everybody.
Go ahead, Ruler.
Bro. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I was born in Jamaica, 1954.
Yes.
And
It disappeared, Chapo.
I have a Jamaican citizenship, Jamaican passport, and a U.S. passport.
Good.
What are you saying? That I cannot vote here in Jamaica if I wanted to?
No, I'm saying that if I had the right to make that decision, you coming back to Jamaica you give up your United States citizenship. Simple being.
No, but that's not the question I'm asking.
If you're not, you should not be allowed to vote.
So I'm a Jamaican citizenship born here. I shouldn't vote.
Sir, you've pledged allegiance to another country.
I never pledged allegiance.
What did you do? How did you obtain citizenship? You were born in Jamaica.
No, I went through the process.
You were born in Jamaica, so for you to obtain American citizenship, you must be naturalized. You must pledge allegiance.
Yeah,
There's no other way.
So you're saying this factual is something where you know or just...
I'm telling you.
No,
I live in the United States for 12 years.
No, that's what I'm asking you. How long you
I live it.
Is it your opinion or just a fact?
Not an opinion. It is facts.
Wait, no, Chopper.
With Jamaican
Hold on. Let me.
I'll take out paperwork to vote here. That's what you're saying.
No, you can. I'm saying to you, you can. Just
Right.
my view is that, remember, I'm not saying that the position you're in now doesn't obtain. It does. I'm saying to you, if I had my way, once you pledge allegiance to a foreign state, if you desire to come back to Jamaica, then you need to renounce. First of all, the country that you were born in is automatic your homeland. You can't change that. Any other citizenship that you obtain, you did that through naturalization. So that's the one you'd have to denounce.
All right, so Chopper, let me ask a question.
1 second, Regal. I'm coming back to you, Regal. You were saying something, Doc? I'm coming back to you, Regal.
No, I was trying to clarify what he was asking you. I didn't think you understood him clearly, but you finally got to it.
Yes.
You finally got to it, yes.
Yeah, man, I did.
But he need to understand that you are not saying that it is the law.
No,
you
it's
were
not.
just simply saying that if you had your way,
right,
and you become a Jamaican and American citizen, by when you do that, you have to give up your Jamaican citizenship to do that. A lot of people don't even realize that. But because nobody is following up.
Nobody's challenging it.
And challenging it to say, well, you are a Jamaican citizen, but you went to America and became a citizen, which means that you throw away your Jamaican citizenship automatically when you do that.
No, that's not true. That is not true.
No. You see, you're looking at the dual citizenship thing. Hear me out clearly. No, hear me out clearly, sir. Hear me out clearly. Hear me out clearly. What I'm trying to say is this. Just listen to me for a minute. If you become a citizen of America as a Jamaican citizen, and you became a citizen of America, you pledge allegiance to the American flag, and you become naturalized. The Jamaican system doesn't say to you, okay, now you become an American citizen, you are no longer a Jamaican citizen. We don't have that happening. So people are comfortable getting them American citizenship and still hold on to their Jamaican citizenship because nobody's questioning you or nobody's asking you any questions on that.
Because the fact is that both countries allow dual citizenship.
Right, which is what I'm saying.
There's a gray area. Both countries have the right to invoke the law. Right. And the law that supersedes that is that they can at some point say to you, you have to
make up your mind, one or the other.
They can say it. Because especially when there's a conflict between both countries, you will have to choose. And that's what I'm saying to you folks. It's not law, it's my opinion. I do not believe that any Jamaican who obtain citizenship elsewhere should be allowed to come back to Jamaica and participate in a very, very, how should I put it? A very important aspect of our democracy.
Which a decision-making aspect, yes.
You should not be allowed to do it. And that's just my view. Not saying it is law, I'm just saying that's my view.
And I share the same view, which is what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
It's not a problem as it is right now, but it should have been a problem. It should be a problem.
Should be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Regal, it was you next?
Hold on, Regal, hold on. We have Ruler, and then we have...
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Earlier, someone in the chat room was making the point when I wrote in there that they were talking about running for office. I was not talking about running for office.
That's even worse. Go ahead, Ruler.
I understand that's even worse. No, I understand that's even worse. I was just pointing out that someone said that in the chat room. So now that you've clarified it, it's your opinion, that's way you would have loved to see go if persons have dual citizenship, they can't vote here in Jamaica. And I understand what you're saying now.
Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
Thank you. Winner, you wanted to say something?
I lost my train of thoughts, yeah.
All right, anyway, you next.
All right. All right. So we all know that recently there have been some travel advisory. I'm just gonna ask anyone who in here who has a dual citizenship between Jamaica and the US. Recently there was some travel advisory against Jamaica because of the perception of the crime issue in Jamaica, right? I'm asking if anyone in here, if they were to serve in Jamaica Parliament and they are a dual citizen, I have a dual citizenship with the United States and Jamaica. You basically, who would you advocate for? Would you advocate for behind the scenes or out in the public so that we can see that you are really representing Jamaica? And in my estimation, a lot of you would not do that because you, as one prime minister had said, you don't want to anger I don't want to say the word, right? You do not want to anger the superpower. So some persons, and for me that is a scary situation. Another thing too, if they are pushing a certain agenda that this country is not ready for because of our culture, who would you advocate for? And again, I would want persons who are serving in parliament that have a dual citizenship to advocate loudly and in public and not behind scenes. If you are not willing to do that, do not serve. Please, do not serve. That is just my point.
Thank you, sir.
But that is what we call, that is what we mentioned earlier when we spoke about inequitable representation.
Hold on there, Doc. Let me hear Renz. Go ahead there, Jay.
After that, I think a lot of them would have go with the foreign country now because oftentimes they say we run left Jamaica because now go on to Jamaica, the dollar stronger, yes, and this and that. So me I go where the more money is. You know, so Jamaicans stay already. So I believe most of them will fight for the other country. That's my thought.
Good night, guys. All right. The problem, and the thing that we are not actually seeing well. A lot of us here are not seeing the big picture of what is taking place now. With the new constitution that's supposed to come in law, where Mark Golden is blocking the thing to turn over. If and the PMP, they are backing him so much. Because if now, where Mark Golden now actually wouldn't able to run because he's a British citizen. No, there is no one else to fill that gap because an election is coming up close, right? A general election is coming up, right? And now there is no one else to fill that gap. So the PMP now is in a big problem.
When you say there's no one to fill that gap, what are you talking about?
If Golden should step down.
Why not? Why not? There's 14 members of parliament.
Yes, Chapa, but who is there? There is no one else there.
You cannot say that. There's several others. There's 13 other members, including George Wright, who's an independent.
But Chapa.
Yes.
Right now, Mark Golden is only on one wheel, right?
Yes.
Can't just imagine now. There's no Lisa is on her way out.
Oh, you think so?
That's what she said.
Oh, okay.
Right? But come on, let's speak. Well, that's true. Damian Crawford cannot come in because he's a senator. Peter Bunton-Redawos cannot come in because he's a senator. Who else there? I can't understand. So this is the big issue.
They can be the leader of the party without being a member of parliament. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
You can be the leader, but how the opposition section would go, for you to be the opposition leader. You have to be
They can usher him into a seat or her.
Somebody said they have PJ Patterson.
Well, it's a sticky wicket. That's all I can say, Dr. Nelson.
Final position with regards to the dual citizenship.
Go ahead, Ragal. Go ahead.
I try to live as very practical as possible, you know.
Yes, sir.
And here's my thing. I don't put, there's no country, there's few countries in the world that I want Jamaica to emulate. And the United States is not one of them. So therefore, I would never make my commitment or any allegiance I made to them. If I live abroad, would make my party, which is the Jamaica Labour Party, don't win the election. They don't worth it, because guess what? They're not the big example of democracy. So what kind of allegiance am I committing to what type of people? That is not going to happen. I value more that the DLP win the election than about my commitment to their whatever it is that they're committed to. So I can't give American any credence and then let my party lose the election. That make any sense?
Well,
that
let me.
Have no value to me. I just do it. No. I just do it on paper. In my heart, it has no value to me.
I know. So I understand and appreciate that.
I can't make that allegiance to a country that is no example for me. Stop me from making my party win an election.
I agree with you. Let's listen. Let's listen to Nationwide summary of Mark Golding's position on dual citizenship.
That opposition leader Mark Golding has a moral obligation. A prominent regional attorney is this afternoon asserting that opposition leader Mark Golding has a moral obligation to declare whether he's a British citizen. Golding triggered debate on the issue earlier this week when, in a document prepared for the Constitutional Reform Committee, he suggested that dual citizens be eligible to sit in the House of Representatives. That statement, which Golding says is his personal opinion, represents a contradiction of the position taken by the People's National Party in 2007. Back then, the party successfully used the court to force several JLP MPs who were dual citizens to renounce their U.S. citizenship. We have more in this report from Mahiri Stewart.
The PNP president told a media conference earlier this week that it's his personal position that dual citizens be eligible to sit as MPs.
My position is that this dual citizenship should not be a bar to service. That's my own view. That is the position that we have put forward, because we think that it's appropriate, given the nature of the Jamaican society, where roughly half of our citizens live outside our physical boundaries.
But this comment from Mr. Golding at the same press conference has caused users of social media to demand that he clarify his own status as a citizen.
We're not in favor of having 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. We must either be in or out.
Noted attorney Dr. Emir Crown says given his recent statements, Golding must declare whether he holds both Jamaican and British citizenship. In a post on X, Dr. Crown said such a declaration is important, despite Golding being quoted in a 2022 newspaper article as saying he would not renew his UK passport as it would not be appropriate. Under the Constitution, Jamaicans and Commonwealth citizens over the age of 21 are eligible to sit in the Jamaican Parliament. Southwest St. Catherine MP Everald Warmington says given his stance, Mark Golding has a duty to tell Jamaica if he is a dual citizen.
I heard the PNP president this week calling for dual citizens to be able to lawfully sit in Jamaica's parliament. A remarkable and hypocritical turnaround from the PNP's past position on this matter. But you know what? What the PNP president needs to do is to tell Jamaica whether he is a citizen of Britain. He should state this, that Jamaicans may evaluate where he is coming from and make a determination whether he is putting up roadblocks to Jamaica becoming a republic. Is he a citizen of Britain? Where does his loyalty lie?
Warmington was among 5 JLP MPs forced to revoke their US citizenship consequent upon court action taken by the PNP over the issue. Warmington says it's his information that Mark Golding acquired a Jamaican passport while he was an adult.
Golding should also say why did it take him until 2011 and was in his 40s and already a senator in parliament to secure a Jamaican passport. Jamaicans should also be aware that under British law, it is a crime for any British citizen to serve in the army of another country or come to the defense of another country during conflict. So the PNP president who wants to be Prime Minister, Minister of Defense in Jamaica, needs to tell us whether he is a British citizen. It is really an important question for him to answer.
Calls placed to the PNP president this afternoon went unanswered.
You may leave a message after the tone.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, dancehall star Mr. Vegas has also weighed in on the issue. In a post on X and Instagram, Mr. Vegas says the opposition leader must declare his status in order for Jamaicans to be in a position to accurately evaluate his stance on the issue of dual citizenship.
No, Mr. Mark Golding, you know what dual citizenship? Are you a British citizen? Are you a citizen of Britain? If yes, then you are a subject of the king. So how you're saying full decolonization, but a subject of the king want to represent a sovereign state or a republic? Is you that have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, the same 1 foot in and 1 foot out that you're talking about. Is you that have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Because if you want to keep your British citizenship, it means that you're a subject of the king. You're the king boy. So why would I want the king boy to represent me? I represent my family. I represent my friend them. I represent my fellow Jamaicans.
And former parliamentarian Sharon Hay Webster, who as a PNP MP was also caught up in the dual citizenship court challenges in 2007, has also commented on the issue. She says Mark Golding has an obligation to make an honest declaration to the Jamaican people.
By any means necessary is a PNP playbook. We saw it 2007 to 2011 when, because they believed that Jamaica House was theirs, they sought to regain it by using the dual citizenship matter. Every single seat held by the JLP was held. It cost the country close to $80 million at that time, which could have been used otherwise. Marky G, declare yourself. Isn't this just another means of by any means necessary? Let us know, however, which citizenship do you hold dear first? Is it the UK or Jamaica?
Sharon Hay Webster, Mrs. Hay Webster, voluntarily gave up her U.S. citizenship after the man who brought her to court, Devon McDaniel, abandoned the matter in the Supreme Court.
It's a prominent.
Well, do I need to say, do I really need to say anything else?
I just heard Warmington.
Yes.
Minister Warmington. Let me give him in full acronyms. All protocols observed.
Yes.
We call him Warmy. I heard Warmy hit the most important note of all. And this is the note of the aspiration to become leader of the country, which automatically makes you leader of the military. And the British law stipulates, based on what I understand from what he said, that you cannot be a military, serving in a military in a foreign country. If you're a British citizen, it is illegal.
Huh?
I want to hear that piece from one.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, I wasn't even thinking along that line.
We're now joined by none other than the man who coined the phrase King Boy.
Who that? Vegas?
The man who's responsible for that phrase, King Boy.
King's Boy.
King Boy has joined us. Mr. Vegas.
Listen to me now, Mr. Vegas.
How you know?
Mr. Vegas, you have a new piece of lyrics where you have to work on soon. You know?
You have to talk with Chuck in a Vegas.
You have to tell the Jamaican people to head high and kill Marky with the nose.
I'm coming to you, Jay. Go ahead, Jay. Huh? Hold on a second, Doc. Go ahead, Jay.
I heard the trolls, you see?
Yes.
Saying that Mr. Vegas not have no hit song and him not this and him not that.
Vegas is the most stream artist in Jamaica. Don't even listen to nobody.
Let me finish now. You're not allowing me to speak, you know. He showed the other night in Canada, and let me tell you something.
Could you get in? Tell Jamaica that they couldn't get in.
Let me tell you something. It's the back door. Them money and have them young boy and have nothing for Vegas.
Never.
Tell you that. You see him show. Just know it's energy. start drink, my husband, I said, why? I saw Viegi look good. And I said, yeah, man, that's true, man. And he full of energy. He brought the show and bring it down. That I tell you, you never, I can't say this, go and enjoy a show. Anytime you see Viegi, just go and go enjoy a show. It was awesome.
Very few Jamaican artists can clock a song that stream as much as Vega.
And it's songs that me know from me I grow up.
Exactly.
Right? So, and I like say a new song with me, I say, yeah, it was awesome, and him bring the energy, and it was everything. It was everything that I wanted, to be honest. Really, we have it's an artist I love and respect long time, but this has raised the bar. I think we would get whole and wishy-washy.
If not the King's boy, so we won't get wishy-washy.
Listen now.
I got to Vegas, and good night. And
yeah, man. Big up yourself, man.
Yes,
Big up yourself.
yes.
I'm glad you enjoy it, man.
But yeah, the thing now, chaps.
Yes.
And Vegas, the head's eye song have to be rewritten, you know.
What?
No,
I mean,
Vegas have to be telling the
anthem, a
Jamaican
global
people.
anthem, you know.
Listen.
Global anthem, you know.
Now we have to go reword it to tell the Jamaican people to hold them head high. And
Yes.
hit mark
With
with
the
the
no.
no.
Jiggy, you have to listen. I don't have to tell you what to do, my brother. But you know you have the chance.
Until Marky said, we no papi show.
But we're on a serious conversation here, Vic. We had here with us earlier. We had an extensive discussion. We have a full panel on TikTok as well. Close to 200 persons over there, and we have close to 300, 400 over on this side. So we have a full house, and we are talking about this whole conversation with what Mark Golding has proposed. And since you're just joining us, I want to play this again, and we come back on it and get your opinion on it. So just stick and stay. We don't run this one more time, just for the benefit of all who might be just joining us. Vegas is in the building, folks. New name, the King's boy.
A prominent regional attorney is this afternoon asserting that opposition leader Mark Golding has a moral obligation to declare whether he's a British citizen. Golding triggered debate on the issue earlier this week when, in a document prepared for the Constitutional Reform Committee, he suggested that dual citizens be eligible to sit in the House of Representatives. That statement, which Golding says is his personal opinion, represents a contradiction of the position taken by the People's National Party in 2007. Back then, the party successfully used the court to force several JLP MPs who were dual citizens to renounce their U.S. citizenship. We have more in this report from Mahiri Stewart.
The PNP president told a media conference earlier this week that it's his personal position that dual citizens be eligible to sit as MPs.
My position is that this dual citizenship should not be a bar to service. That's my own view. That is the position that we have put forward because we think that it's appropriate, given the nature of the Jamaican society, where roughly half of our citizens live outside our physical boundaries.
But this comment from Mr. Golding at the same press conference has caused users of social media to demand that he clarify his own status as a citizen.
We're not in favor of having 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. We must either be in or out.
Noted attorney Dr. Emir Crown says given his recent statements, Golding must declare whether he holds both Jamaican and British citizenship. In a post on X, Dr. Crown said such a declaration is important, despite Golding being quoted in a 2022 newspaper article as saying he would not renew his UK passport as it would not be appropriate. Under the Constitution, Jamaicans and Commonwealth citizens over the age of 21 are eligible to sit in the Jamaican Parliament. Southwest St. Catherine MP Everald Warmington says given his stance, Mark Golding has a duty to tell Jamaica if he is a dual citizen.
I heard the PNP president this week calling for dual citizens to be able to lawfully sit in Jamaica's parliament. A remarkable and hypocritical turnaround from the PNP's past position on this matter. But you know what? What the PNP president needs to do is to tell Jamaica whether he is a citizen of Britain. He should state this, that Jamaicans may evaluate where he is coming from and make a determination whether he is putting up roadblocks to Jamaica becoming a republic. Is he a citizen of Britain? Where does his loyalty lie?
Warmington was among 5 JLP MPs forced to revoke their US citizenship consequent upon court action taken by the PNP over the issue. Warmington says it's his information that Mark Golding acquired a Jamaican passport while he was an adult.
Golding should also say why did it take him until 2011 and was in his 40s and already a senator in parliament to secure a Jamaican passport. Jamaicans should also be aware that under British law, it is a crime for any British citizen to serve in the army of another country or come to the defense of another country during conflict. So the PNP president who wants to be Prime Minister, Minister of Defense in Jamaica, needs to tell us whether he is a British citizen. It is really an important question for him to answer.
Calls placed to the PNP president this afternoon went unanswered.
Message. The tone.
You may leave a message after the tone.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, dancehall star Mr. Vegas has also weighed in on the issue. In a post on X and Instagram, Mr. Vegas says the opposition leader must declare his status in order for Jamaicans to be in a position to accurately evaluate his stance on the issue of dual citizenship.
Now, Mr. Mark Golding, you know what dual citizenship? Are you a British citizen? Are you a citizen of Britain? If yes, then you are a subject of the king. So how you're saying full decolonization, but a subject of the king want to represent a sovereign state or a republic? Is you that have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you know? The same 1 foot in and 1 foot out that you're talking about. Is you that have in 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Because if you want to keep your British citizenship, it means that you're a subject of the king. You're the king boy.
Aya!
So why would I want the king boy to represent me? I represent my family.
You find it,
Peggy. I represent my fellow Jamaicans.
And former parliamentarian Sharon Hay Webster, who as a PNP MP was also caught up in the dual citizenship court challenges in 2007, has also commented on the issue. She says Mark Golding has an obligation to make an honest declaration to the Jamaican people.
By any means necessary is a PNP playbook. We saw it 2007 to 2011 when, because they believed.
A prominent regional attorney is this afternoon asserting that opposition leader Mark Golding has a moral obligation to declare whether he's a British citizen. Golding triggered debate on the issue earlier this week when, in a document prepared for the Constitutional Reform Committee, he suggested that dual citizens be eligible to sit in the House of Representatives. That statement, which Golding says is his personal opinion, represents a contradiction of the position taken by the People's National Party in 2007. Back then, the party successfully used the court to force several JLP MPs who were dual citizens. A prominent regional attorney is this afternoon asserting that opposition leader Mark Golding has a moral obligation to declare whether he's a British citizen. Golding triggered debate on the issue earlier this week when, in a document prepared for the Constitutional Reform Committee, he suggested that dual citizens be eligible to sit in the House of Representatives. That statement, which Golding says is his personal opinion, represents a contradiction of the position taken by the People's National Party in 2007. Back then, the party successfully used the court to force several JLP MPs who were dual citizens to renounce their US citizenship. We have more in this report from Mahiri Stewart.
The PNP president told a media conference earlier this week that it's his personal position that dual citizens be eligible to sit as MPs.
All right, it looks like we have a double play there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry for that. Just realized that we had a double play.
I wanted to say something fast, Chopper.
Go ahead, Wina.
If Mark Golding, well, Marky British say it is my own view that we hold this position, but we are putting this forward. That's what he said, you know.
I think he was just confused and just could not find words to justify the unjustifiable. That's all I could say. Sir Viegi, let me hear you on this because you have a lot to say over the weekend and it has gone into mainstream media. Your position on the issue, Viegi?
Well, I kind of hold some similar positions as most of the persons that I have listened to throughout the discussion tonight. I think it's very hypocritical and unfortunate that we still cannot get a clear answer from someone who's trying to represent or to be the head of state for Jamaica. Someone who's trying to lead, a country. It's very unfortunate. Such a simple question, and we cannot get an answer. I'm wondering why is it so difficult. I also think that they're buying time. They're playing hide and seek and buying time, and he may at some point renounce his citizenship. And then they're gonna come forward and say, okay, I already told you that I renounced my citizenship, but maybe it's not done as yet. So, because remember he said, I think it was inaccurate his statement of when he got a passport and he had to get a visa to travel to England. I did not know that a British citizen, would have to get a visa to travel to England. So I think there is something. I think we're looking at the surface, and there's something here that doesn't sit well with me. I'm not sure what it is, but there is something there, because this is weird. It's weird that it's just like dodging the question, trying to speak around the question, trying to go into different direction, deflection, and so forth. I think he's troubled by it. I think it ruffled his feather. I think Mr. Golden had a very bad 2 weeks. Very, very bad 2 weeks. I think the demonstration in New York that he hasn't posted a photo or any images of yet, because it failed miserably. I think that with what is going on now with the question of whether he's a US a British citizen or not, I think is really, really, something that he is really, really ruffled his feathers. So it's very interesting how they're gonna fix this. And I think, as I said before, I think he's gonna renounce because the pressure is gonna mount. He's gonna renounce, but we are not gonna know when. We will not be privy to know when he renounced.
I think being a public official, Vegas, he has a responsibility to declare to the Jamaican people it's the entire process. That's one. Two, Jay, you mentioned earlier before Vegas came on of a post that he made regarding some research. You wanna come back with that and tell us what it is so we can get back to Vegas on that, Jay?
Sure. Veggie, I was looking at your Twitter page where you spoke about Mark Golding, his ability to regain his citizenship based on the fact that he had to renounce it to become a citizen of a commonwealth or anything associated with a commonwealth. So my point was, I didn't do my research on it because I know you were coming on, so I was waiting for you to elaborate on it further. But we still went ahead just now because you were a little bit late, and we did our research on it, basically saying once you advise the office in the UK that you're renouncing your citizenship, you would be able to come back. You would be able to get back your citizenship. And the problem for me is you can do it now, this year, to facilitate whatever process you're trying to accomplish here, and then you go back and do it next year. So I am saying to myself, this still no make no sense.
So renunciation doesn't really fix the problem, Vegas. What say you?
Yes, but what as she just said, he can go ahead and do it, and then apply for it to be reinstated. Let's say going into the he goes into the election and loses the election, then he can just apply and get his citizenship reinstated. He has one chance, one try for that to happen. So I think they may do it. No one will know when, I guess. And he's going to come forward but come on, you think he just got a passport the time when he said he got it? No, you think he applied for a British visa?
No, but I believe that once the questions are posed at a certain level, he has a responsibility to respond. But let me just ask Dr. Nelson real quick though on the matter of trust, because that is what it's come down to now. It is now coming down to trust. Can we trust this man to lead Jamaica?
Yeah, there's no trust there. But then my question is this, based on what Vegas just said, and what's her name on the call just now?
Jay, yes.
Jay. Isn't it, my thinking is this, isn't it public record when somebody takes some action, to that effect? So if we want to know exactly when he get his Jamaican passport, right, or not, we can find out.
Yeah.
But the issue of trust is really a very serious one.
But
We miss a lot of things.
But let me put this to you again, Vegas. Based on the sequence of event that we have noticed, and the actions taken by Mark Golding, isn't this consistent with, I don't want to use the word dictator, but are you aware, Vegas, that probably a couple of years ago, they said Mark Golding would have taken a position or made a decision within his party that prevents anybody within the party from challenging him for his position as party leader. Did you know that?
I think there are so many inaccuracies in Mark Golding's statements that he put forward that I don't know where to start. You see, so many inaccuracies. I think he has cultivated an audience, an extreme audience, who I think they're okay with what comes out of his mouth. But we have to remember something in our politics or in an election cycle, where we have the undecided voters.
Yes.
We have to remember that.
Crucial block.
Right. So you may have your supporters now on your Twitter page or your social media platforms, cheering you on, and you may have to pay for it in the election. And I think he will. This is not a joke issue, and I'm glad Warmington raised that point. I'm going to do some further research on it about him becoming
the military.
Yes.
And there's another issue I raised earlier, and I was asking Dr. Nelson that we should probably try and dig into that some more, which is the legality of whether or not, if it's even legal, not from the Jamaican standpoint, but from the British or the American standpoint, because there's two issues we have to look at. We have to look at what he's proposing and what the position that he currently holds. So there's two things that we have to look at. We have to look at what Mark Golding, the predicament that he's now in, and we have to look at what he's proposing, because he's proposing that dual citizens should sit in parliament here and make decisions. And I believe that that's a violation of the American laws or the foreign country to which you have pledged allegiance to. There's a violation of their laws.
If it's not a Commonwealth.
Right. And that is where the problem comes in.
You have to understand in that topic. You have to understand something here. I think because he just wanted so bad to block something that Andrew Holness would have done by Jamaica becoming a republic.
Yes.
Right. So this would have been a big deal for Andrew Holness. And while some may argue that his argument about the Caribbean Court of Justice is a valid argument, I don't think anyone within their right mind can actually defend his position on dual citizenship. There's so many ways how you can point to where his argument is flawed. The fact that even people in his own party suffered or lost on positions in government, or lose out on position in government, and even people like Darrell Vaz, Warmington, other people that lost their citizenship because the PMP took them to court. I don't think it's something that he can actually get out of, because it is something that is there. The evidence is there to support it. So it's not like, I think if he had held the position about the CCJ, you know, he would have had better traction. But I think the road that he went down, you know, I think is a very steep slope he went down, and trust me, is pure aisle. Depend the slope, them can't come back up.
But Mr. Vegas, when you look at the dual citizenship thing from another perspective, because I did some research on it, I dug into it, and you know, I had to get to the bottom of this thing and make my own determination on it. But when you dig into it, dual citizenship work ceremonially or ceremoniously for the average citizens, right? But when it comes to political representation at the highest level, it has a lot of possibilities and of flaws and insecurities. You cannot serve two masters, you know, at that level. Okay, so you're a Jamaican citizen and you want to get an American citizenship. Okay, fine. The leeway might be there for you to get that and nobody bothers you because you're not going to hold an important office. But the dual citizenship thing start to break down, right? When you measure it against serious offices of political representation. You cannot be serving in the Jamaican parliament and be a citizen of another country because the position allows for the possibility of undermining of national identity, inequitable representation, erosion of trust, right? You know, blurred line of accountability, and it creates room for a lot of ambiguity. Now, you cannot be in a serious leadership role and all of these things hanging over your head. These possibilities hanging over your head. If you, for instance, is a British citizen, England is a more powerful place than Jamaica. And you're also a Jamaican citizen and you're in the parliament. You hold a seat in the parliament. And the king said to you one day, say, boss, I want you to bring me some information on certain things where I go on to Jamaica, you know. Right? And this is a serious job I'm giving you. In making you into an MI6 or somebody said earlier, MI7. You think you can tell him no?
You can't say no because you're the king's boy.
On that note,
I figured you was going to hit that one hard.
And look at this again. Let me give you something nicer. Remember, you know, there's a little bit of history that I think we should all know about. Remember when the slavers them got the 20 million pounds, right? Pounds to basically quote unquote free us from slavery when they pay off the slavers them, right?
Right.
If we should know as a nation, let's say we get our republic and we're gonna take the British state to court for the trillions that they owe us or billions.
Yes.
Our head of state, let's say he becomes our head of state, how can we trust him when he has Kyle, when he's the king's boy, to lobby on our behalf?
It will never happen.
How can we trust
There
him?
you go.
If the case of reparation should arise,
yes,
because remember the British state owe us, you know, whole heap of money, you know.
Yes.
Whole heap of money the British state owes, you know. So how are we gonna trust our head of state to say, okay, you're gonna represent we, or you're gonna, you know? Additionally, I want you to pay attention to something. Curry from up a compound, right? Remember, Curry is stating that they are sovereign.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, whatever Curry and Andrew Holness, whatever happened, that quote unquote conflict. Remember, Curry is, in my view, a separatist, right? Because he wants to have his own autonomy in Jamaica, in a country called Jamaica. He wants to have his own sovereignty. He create his own constitution according to him, whatever.
State.
How ironic it is that Mark Golding met with Curry, right? Went there, have them rubbing him down with oil or whatever, rum or whatever they used to rubbing him down, to rub him down. Then, after that, based on my understanding, we saw where Sprague Benz, who is the ambassador for Compound or for the Maroons, went another meeting with the Secretary of State to deliver a letter. After I saw pictures with Corey, Zion L, and based on my research, Zion L and some others tried to confiscate people's land in Texas, based on my understanding. You can look it up. And got in some problems in the US. Basically, tried to land grab, according to what I read. Right? How coincidental is this that after Mark Golding met with these men who are trying to claim, actually as a lawsuit against the government, for 287,000 acres of land. So how ironic it is that I saw now Sprague Benz meeting with the Secretary of State in England, delivering a letter to King Charles. I'm not sure if Mr. Golding is advising the Maroons.
The plot is thickening.
I'm not sure. Because why didn't Curry take this route prior to this meeting? You know?
Oh, well,
it could be nothing.
You left
it could be nothing, you know. But it could be nothing. But it comes down to trust again. It comes down to trust again.
Dropping some bomb here.
Comes down to trust again. What did... Because remember, you know, Mrs. Wellness met with the AG. The PMP, they called for her to release the information of the meeting.
Yes.
And so forth. So the man will try to be, you know, the leader for my country, meeting with a separatist. And I can't know what they spoke about. How come...
We want him to declare that.
What did you, Zion L, Curry, and the others spoke about when you met? Isn't that something that the public should be known to the public? You think that's supposed to be?
I think it's a fair request. I mean,
there's a very gray area surrounding the Maroons and how they fit into the Jamaican argument. And this is a topic that I don't want to venture into, but it is something that needs to be resolved. They do have a place and they do have some rights. And we have to get to that point where they become absorbed into the rest of Jamaica, you know, going forward. Because the treaties that were signed with them and Britain, as long as we remain as, you know, British subjects or under the monarch, they do have an argument. You know, the extent to which their argument will bear fruit is yet to be seen. And so it's interesting what you said, though. Is Mark Golding, the lawyer, actually representing the Maroons in England, and we don't know about it? You know? But yes, I am hoping to see the day, Mr. Vegas, when the Maroons become, you know, galvanized into the rest of Jamaica, because they do have an argument. We cannot just say that they don't, because we are still under, in some way, the watchful eyes of the crown and the monarch, and they were the ones who gave the Maroons those treaties way back when.
It looks like we're having a bit of breaking news here, guys. Let me just squeeze this in. I don't know, unconfirmed report that the Iranian president and the foreign minister died in a helicopter crash moments ago. This is
Wow.
unconfirmed report. Unconfirmed report that the
Iranian president. Wow.
and the foreign minister died in a helicopter crash a few moments
Interesting.
ago. Crash.
Yeah.
It's
Quote,
unconfirmed.
quote,
Just
quote
put it
unquote, quote unquote crash.
Interesting, Mr.
quote
Vegas.
unquote
Very interesting.
parentheses crash.
Very interesting. Yes.
You know what I mean, my brother. But
Yes, yes.
you've dropped some bomb here.
But yes. But we need to pick up that maroon thing at another discussion.
I think it's a good conversation, but you have to remember, you know.
Yeah, hold on 1 second there, Vegas. Go ahead, Jay.
According to Google News, Iran's hardline president still missing after likely helicopter crash in foggy mountainous region.
Okay, we know that. Oh, yeah, don't worry. It's a crash. It's a crash. It's a malfunction engine. We know that. Go ahead, Mr. Vegas. Hold on a second. Hold on, Vegas. Go ahead, Joshua. I think you wanted to come in. Let's hang on a second, Vegas. Go ahead, Josh.
I really want to thank you again, and Mr. Vegas, good night. It's good to see you. Good to know that there continues to be some sensible people within the entertainment fraternity. You know, I've been here listening, and a couple of thoughts crossed my mind, and I want us to keep it within the realm of Jamaica first, because we don't want to narrow it down to politics as one person spoke about politics earlier. You know, this being a feather in the cap of Andrew Holness. Yes, it will be, but this is about Jamaica primarily. And a couple of questions crossed my mind. One of them is the silence of civil society in the whole matter. Well, normally, civil society would be barking loudly.
It's not about Andrew. It's not about
the
Andrew.
silence is rather deafening now.
It's not about Andrew.
The media as well.
Right, the media as well, yes. The other matter is that, and which is a question for me again, is that here's a man who sent some proxies to be a part of the committee, the CRC committee. And you're telling me that they don't have the capabilities to represent you well enough to be able to sign off on a document. So why did you send them in the first place if you thought that they were not capable enough to represent not only you, not only the party, but the country on this matter? Then why did you bother to waste the country's time and money if that is the case, right? It says something about you as a leader. It means that you're not visionary enough. Two, you don't delegate very well, you know, and we could continue the list a little longer. The other matter that is here for me is the question, you know, and I can't help but thinking, because his money is held in trust in the British Virgin Island. Of all the places in the world that it could have been, the British Virgin Island. Is that purely coincidental, or is it representing?
Did you say in the British Virgin Islands, sir?
The man goes anywhere the Union Jack is from.
I see some consistency. Hey, you cannot make look. You cannot make these things up, folks.
Yes.
You cannot make these things up.
Is this coincident, or is it?
I don't cut you. Remember that he has no house in Jamaica.
Well, he does have a house, and I'm glad you raised the point.
Declaration.
Right. But I'm glad you raised the point, because he himself, I read an article last night because I continue to do research, which he stated in that article that he has not declared all his assets in Jamaica. I read the article. So why is it that the IC has been silent on the matter if that's the case?
You know why he's privy to that? You know why he can do that, excuse me? Because he's a British citizen. So that is not unlawful based on his status. Because remember, there's a double taxation rule. Treaty, right? Where if he doesn't have to pay taxes in Jamaica.
Huh? It's not looking so good.
And so this man could be a billionaire for all we know, right? And it's not hard to imagine because he was advisor to the government on the matter of FinSac.
Where
And some of FinSac assets were being transferred to the very company that he's a principal in. You know? I mean, this is another...
There's a lot of cloud around this man. A lot of cloud.
That's
Similar
what
to
I'm telling you.
crash.
If the media, if the journalists, if we had investigative journalism, if investigative journalism was alive, you know, there would be there is so much here. There's so many layers
right here
that should be peeled off this thing.
Yeah.
That we're taking it lightly. I think we're taking it so. I think the media is very, very inept on this thing that's going on right now, because there are so many things. He has his business in the British Virgin Island. It is according to his status, as the sister just says, status declaration. He doesn't have any properties in Jamaica. So this is very, very, this is cloudy to say the least. But I think they are very. They should be very concerning, and I honestly think that.
Therefore means that he has no confidence in the very country that he wants to be prime minister in, right? And two final points. One, you remember that very famous song, Chabo, My Father Born?
Yes, sir.
And I not
go nowhere, sir. To go up.
Right. So if you have dual citizenship, it's an indication that you plan to leave, yeah.
Hey, Vegas, you have a lot of material in them, man.
Final thing is that I guess the reason why of this, as one of the former member of parliament from his own party, Bobby Pickersgill stated that it's the articulate minority when he was challenged on a matter. He's of the view that those who are articulate in this country and can think for themselves is so few that he can pull a wool over our eyes and we will not notice what is happening.
Not today. Not today. Not today. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
Mr. Vegas, being a member of the entertainment fraternity. Shepherd that used to host a program at Nationwide. Joan Williams, I think her name, that used to run in Africa and IRFM. And not to mention our civic group. Now, on several occasions, Mark Golding has gone on the political platform and has referred to the fight for freedom as our ancestors. And there's nobody standing up to say, no, it's not.
Yes, sir.
You guys are dropping some bomb tonight. Yeah? Kingston.
Well, the problem is, the problem is, is not Buju them sent back, it's Juju, in my view. So we're still waiting on Buju to return. You see the man them send back for Juju. And Mark Golding flew up right after with right behind Juju.
I need to close this program. This is not healthy. This is not safe around here. Go ahead, Ray.
The original Buju was a strong minded man,
Yes.
Pro Africa, pro black.
Something went wrong. I just put it at that. Something went wrong. Jay, go ahead, Jay.
Hold on. Before Jay go ahead, let me just
hold on there, Jay. Stick up in. Go ahead, Doc.
I'm sorry, but I am going to make my exit,
Yes.
For the time being. But Mr. V, it was nice talking with you, bossy.
Yeah, and I must tell you that now that I get to speak to you, I appreciate you so much for what you did in New York.
Thank you, man.
I understand. I appreciate that so much. And whenever you're going out to any of these things, if I had the time, I'm going to accompany you.
I would have loved that.
Yeah,
We've done
man.
the next tour. You bet.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
you have to
See,
link
I'm
up.
big,
You have to
big
link
up
up.
yourself with
Yes.
that, man. You made a world of difference. You
Yes,
know,
man.
to really show the world that the few people that were there with you,
Yeah, man.
your voice. Trust me, you were like the children of Israel marching around Jericho. Trust me, because your team was small, but your voices were the loudest.
Very
Yes,
effective. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, man.
Very
All right,
effective.
man. Take it easy.
I
Thank you,
Thank you
appreciate
Dr.
very
you.
much,
Yeah,
Nelson.
man.
sir.
Appreciate you. Yes, Jay, go ahead.
I wanted to add to the point about ancestors. I remember when he missed the Prime Minister Youth Award, and I sent out a tweet saying he missed it and whatever. When I'm little followers, them jump up and say how him spirit not take Andrew, so him not go there. So I say, yeah, damn right, because two ancestors and him as ancestor spiritual.
See, that's why see him go up a maroon up a Kongpong and go to meet his ancestors up there when the man were up with the Romans up.
Right.
Because I remember say our ancestors not the same. Our ancestors them were caught and returned to the plantation
By who? By who?
by the
You remember who?
Maroons.
All right.
Yes, sir.
If I may add,
Go
he
ahead.
did not just miss the Prime Minister's Youth Award. He wasn't there for the independent. The big celebration in Jamaica for surrounding independence, the Grand Gala at the National Stadium. He did not attend that either, but he was in Bahamas for their 50th independence celebration.
Wow.
That tells you where his
Wow.
priority is.
Wow.
That tells.
Wow.
Jamaica is concerned.
Thank you, Travi.
And he was not at the Labor Day celebration today either.
So he has no allegiance here. Let's hear Veggie. Let's hear Cliff Hughes's views on this whole saga. He weighed in on it a few months ago. That's Cliff Hughes from Nationwide. Stand by.
20 minutes after 11. So on this matter of the constitutional reform process, where there's agreement that we should move away from the British monarch and go to the Republic of Jamaica. There's agreement on that all round. And we now have the opposition leader refusing to go ahead with that agreement, that consensus, because he wants to twin it to the government accepting the CCJ as Jamaica's final court of appeal, a matter on which there's no consensus. Yes? And some of us, including myself, are of the view that, listen, we have consensus and getting rid of the British monarch. Let's do that. Let's go forward with that. Because this thing has been a very, very slow, tedious, contentious process going on for more than 40, 50 years now. And you know something, Mr. Golding agrees with us, you know. Mr. Golding agrees with us, Mr. Mark Golding.
Jefferson.
This is what he said to the Parliament of Jamaica on October 26, 2021.
Madam Speaker, by way of an afterthought, the debate on this bill necessarily involves discussion of constitutional matters. It is worth noting that our sister island in the CARICOM, Barbados, has recently taken the required steps to repatriate their sovereignty by establishing a Barbadian as their head of state and first president. That was a bipartisan exercise concluded in a timely manner from start to finish through cooperation between the government and opposition in Barbados. I wish to commend them for it. We in Jamaica should follow now, right away and without delay. The establishment of a non-executive president as our head of state in replacement of the English monarch was agreed by both major political parties over a decade ago. Surely, Madam Speaker, we can work together to take the required constitutional steps to make this happen in the year coming, which is the nation's 60th anniversary year. Prime Minister, let us move forward with this now. With a common fixity of purpose, time come. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Oh dear. October 26, 2021. Mark Jefferson Golding. 3 years later, move forward to 2024. Yes? And him flip. Him said, no. Don't go to the republic status unless we agree on the CCJ. Play that clip again for me, please. I don't believe this.
Very hypocritical.
Yeah?
Marky G. Flip-flopping.
Can you believe this? Mr. Golding. Mark Golding.
British, sir. Mark, you're British. My apology, panelists and
October
and listeners.
2021. He said,
Is a new name.
time come. Let us go forward because there is agreement on having Jamaica become a republic. Let us do that. He mentioned no twinning or condition of acceding to the CCJ at the same time. So what has changed between then and now? What has changed? Political calculation, political expediency.
Madam Speaker, by way of an afterthought, the debate on this bill necessarily involves discussion of constitutional matters. It is worth noting that our sister island in the CARICOM, Barbados, has recently taken the required steps to repatriate their sovereignty by establishing a Barbadian as their head of state and first president. That was a bipartisan exercise concluded in a timely manner from start to finish through cooperation between the government and opposition in Barbados. I wish to commend them for it. We in Jamaica should follow now, right away and without delay. The establishment of a non-executive president as our head of state in replacement of the English monarch was agreed by both major political parties over a decade ago. Surely, Madam Speaker, we can work together to take the required constitutional steps to make this happen in the year coming, which is the nation's 60th anniversary year. Prime Minister, let us move forward with this now. With a common fixity of purpose, time come. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mark Golding speaking to the Jamaican Parliament on October 26, 2021. We have agreed right away. Tape is a hell of a thing, you know. Tape is a hell of a thing. You don't believe me? Play it again. Since you don't believe me.
We're not going to play it
Debate on this bill necessarily involves.
We're not going to play it again, Mr. Hughes. We'll get the picture. But Vegas, in relation to the decision taken by Mark Golding to derail the process, and based on his utterances in 2021, and when you look at what he said a few weeks ago, what's your take on that?
This must be documented, and it should be put in the classroom. You hear me?
Yes.
This must be documented, and it must be taught in the classrooms across Jamaica that Mark Jefferson Golding blocked the move for Jamaica to become a republic.
Yes.
He must wear this badge for the
Yes.
rest of his life and throughout his the memory of him. This is something that must be documented,
Yes.
and it must be tabled, it must be placed in our history books and our civic books that Mark Golding blocked Jamaica from becoming a republic in the year 2024. This is something that he should wear for the rest of his existence and even after.
I agree with
and
you.
anybody named Golding from his generation try to come into politics, they wear it as well.
History should be his guide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. I agree with you.
Because what he's doing here is like, you want to do a surgery to save your life, right?
Yes.
You want to do a surgery to save your life. But the doctor said him can't operate on your body one time because you go dead.
He have a cut piece and then cut piece.
And it's alright. If you not operate on the whole of my body, just make me dead.
Pretty much.
Is that him said, no, we forgot, you know, the surgery is going to take, you know, a few procedures.
You know, there's a thing that we call trust. And I'm going to give you an example. Trust is like a blank sheet of paper, Mr. Vegas. A brand new sheet of legal size printer paper. That's trust. Plain. You take that blank sheet of paper and you crush it. Right? You didn't tear it. You didn't throw it in the trash. You didn't burn it. You just crush it. You can remove that paper. You can open it back up. You can press it out. You can wheel it through a machine. You can do everything with it. You can write on it. You can use it to make little gadgets or whatever it is. While you can still use that paper, the newness on that paper, the blank sheet of paper will never be the same. So it doesn't matter what Mark Golding does going forward in terms of renunciation and all that good stuff. The trust that the Jamaican people need to have in a potential leader has been totally eroded.
But we saw it even in his budget speech, what he did by blocking out the years.
That's how there's a consistent pattern. There's a pattern.
We have seen where he's giving his budget speech, and because he knew he had nothing, and he knew what he did by blocking out all those years, the COVID years and all them things in his tax argument, the income tax argument. He threw a tantrum at Mrs. Holness.
Yes.
From left field. It's just like threw a Hail Mary. And you know what? It actually worked. It actually worked.
People bought into it.
100%. He just threw a Hail Mary because he had no substance in his presentation, the budget presentation. There's nothing there.
Vegas. There's two consistency. There's a consistent pattern also that we can note in where Mark Golding took action within the People's National Party to prevent anyone within that party from challenging his position as party leader. That is consistent with his position today to make decision on behalf of the government that is in his best interest.
That's the reason why he sent 2 decoys to have discourse or to go to work on this constitutional reform. He sent 2 decoys.
Yes, because that's all they are.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yes.
So listen, I've seen so many strange things with this man that if Jamaican people are gonna just be gullible and accept that this man is here to save them, well, so let it be. I think we have done enough, and we're continuing to do whatever we can do because we put Jamaica first.
And I want to thank you, Vegas, for your input and your leadership.
This is not a JLP or PMP thing, you know.
No,
this
sir.
is a Jamaica thing. This is a Jamaica thing. Listen me, Damon Crawford, I'm a brethren, you know. Like my brethren, like me not think you could have him on the platform if Damon Crawford was in the position where Mark Golding is.
Yeah.
Unless it was like going off the rails.
Yes.
You see? Because it's what's best for Jamaica. And any Jamaican gonna come forward now and tell me that they believe this man has Jamaica interest at heart. Trust me, you need to get them a check. From the get-go. How I started paying attention to this man, the big chain round Stone Neck.
Oh boy.
Now we know that this even make more sense now to me why that skit was orchestrated and carried out. He's a British.
Consistent. And he's not hiding his position.
He's linked with the slavers.
Yes. Yes.
He's linked with the oppressors. 100%.
Was he not connected to the Cohen family who were slave owners? Isn't that a fact? Is it?
He needs to come straight to the people. Let the people them know, say, listen to me. He's a British citizen. And that's how the thing said. Let the people them decide if them want to support you, yes or no. But the truth, I think, will be the best thing for him right now. And then we can take it from there. So big up yourself, my general. Continue to do the good work.
Yeah, man.
Right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And
Give thanks
you
to reason with the island.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Enough
man.
respect. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah,
I
man,
appreciate Vegas there, brethren. Taking some time out of our busy schedule to drop by and give us a chat. Go ahead, James.
I don't know if you're winding down now. Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
But the question I would want to ask is, where do we go from here? You know, with all of this in the public sphere, in the public domain, knowing what we know, not just about this matter, but the consistent pattern of Mark Golding, wherein he cannot hold a straight story. He's on one side of the fence when it's convenient, but on the other side when it is also convenient or not convenient anymore. You see an example on the Mrs. Holness situation. She was Deputy Speaker of the House when the vacancy came, and she was supposed to be made Speaker of the House. There was no opposition from him, no pun intended. Members of his own party applauded and lauded her and gave very good speeches in relation to the matter. We see a similar pattern when it came to the salary increases for parliamentarians. There were no objections. In fact, one member of the party, who was the person in charge of finance, said that we have no issue on this matter. He never had any objection. The same thing applied when Barbados got their sovereignty. We must move ahead now, immediately, right? Then he backtracked. We see, as I said, a very, very consistent pattern where he swings on either side of the fence. So what that says to me is that this is not someone who is trustworthy. And if as a leader, if as an individual, not yet as a leader, we can't take your word for it, then when you're in leadership and you have the reins of power even more vested in you, what it means is that when you feel that you have more power than you had previously, you are going to use that power not in a very responsible way, but rather in ways only to benefit yourself, as we see in the matter with the CRC. We see something similar with the dual citizenship situation. When it was convenient, he said, I have not renewed my British passport, which is really a play on word. This is lawyer talk, lawyer jargon. You know, because he didn't say, I didn't give up my citizenship. He said, I did not renew my passport. And someone asked the question recently, if as a Jamaican I choose not to renew my Jamaican passport, does it mean that I'm no longer Jamaican? And so we should keep that in mind. With that said, here's what I want us to do. And I'm appealing to the comrades first. I'm saying to the comrades, look within, search yourself very much. And the question I would want you to ask yourself, is it politics over country or country over politics? You know, that's the question I would want to ask you to ask yourself, will your conscience allow you to sleep when you put the country in the hand of someone whose descendants are relics of our hurt, our pain, our enslavement? Someone who is so intricately and intimately tied to that past that they cannot give up their citizenship in order to serve this country, that is their adopted home, the very country that they were born in. Someone who, by all indication, has their assets in a British territory, and it speaks of where your loyalty lies again. I would want to skip from the comrades now and go further and say Jamaica should never let this matter die. And if the PNP and their supporters don't act decisively on this matter, because they speak of integrity, though that is a questionable matter, but if they don't act decisively on this matter, Jamaica should come out in their numbers and let them pay dearly at the polls, not just in this election, but every election thereafter, and let them never ever see Jamaica House again.
Bravo, 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 bravo. Well said, my brother. Well said, well said, well said. You know, and I'll just add to what Joshua said in closing. And if there's anybody else who wants to weigh in, we have another couple of minutes to go. So if you want to jump in and make a comment on the issue, please feel free. The link to join us on the platform is in the chat. You click the link and you have a chance to speak with us. I also broadcast that link just a few moments ago. So if you want to weigh in, please feel free. But I just want to add to what Joshua said a while ago. This is not about JLP, PNP, or NEP. There's something here at stake, and there's something that is consistent. And I'm looking really at how the leader of the opposition conduct his affairs, how he does business, and the sort of dictatorial posture that he's presenting and portraying. There was not so long ago that he took a decision within the party, the People's National Party that is, to move a motion to prevent anyone from challenging his position as party president. That was a significant move to fortify and solidify his position as the leader. With the current situation now, to prevent us from moving forward with what we had consensus on in order to protect again himself and his position as a British subject is again consistent with what he did at the party level, now what he's doing at the opposition level. Can you imagine if someone like a Mark Golding were to be elected Prime Minister of Jamaica, what that would look like? Don't be fooled. If you ask somebody who they are and they tell you, you must believe them. If Mark Golding shows Jamaican who he is, what type of leader he is at the party leader level, then that certainly demonstrates the sort of leadership that he would bring as Prime Minister. If somebody tell you who they are, believe them. Mark Golding has told us who he is, how he intends to lead. It is our responsibility to reject anybody who approaches that level of leadership. Anybody at all. We should reject that sort of leadership. And I call on my brothers and sisters, bloggers in the social media space, traditional medias, regular Joe Blow, civil society. I call on you to reject Mark Golding as leader of the opposition. Forthwith. Jamaica needs a strong opposition. This country should not be without an effective opposition. As it stands today, we, and I believe that a significant amount of Jamaicans is of the view that Mark Jefferson Golding, based on his consistent behavior and the pattern that he has developed over time, has shown that he cannot be trusted. There's one common thread that holds a good leader together, and that is trust. Nobody within the People's National Party can trust Mark Golding. And if you cannot be trusted within your party, how can the government and the people of Jamaica trust you? You cannot be trusted at the party level. Therefore, we cannot trust you at the government level. I think it is good time, perfect time, a year and a half before the next general election. I think it's good time for civil society, traditional media, well-thinking Jamaican, the Governor General, to rescind his position as leader of the opposition and ask him to step aside respectfully. Give the political process a chance to breathe. Because going forward, there's nothing that Mark Golding could do or say in this country that I will believe and accept as being genuine. Nothing at all. If he give his 2 kidneys to a young child tomorrow morning, I would not trust it. If he plucks out his 2 kidneys and donate it to a child who is in need tomorrow morning, I would not trust it. And I don't think you should trust him either. And if I can't trust you as my leader at the party level, I cannot trust you as leader of Jamaica. So I said to you, we have work to do. Let us not stop here at this discussion level. Let us take it further. And if it means that we're going to march, if it means that we're going to gather and march on the leader of the opposition and ask him to step aside because he cannot be trusted, then so be it. If we have to organize ourselves to go to the leader of the opposition and march and demand that he remove himself from the process, if that is what it takes, I am willing to do it. Because we need an opposition. The government cannot be and should not be allowed to run this country by themselves. You need an opposition. But we should not and will not accept an opposition under the leadership of Mark Golding. This is Sunday night, tomorrow Monday. We give Mark Golding until Thursday to step away. If not, it is going to be, I will not say it, because if I say it, it might not come out good. But we will not stop. And we will mobilize every single Jamaican to march on the office of the opposition leader and demand that you take away yourself from the process and allow Jamaica to breathe. You have damaged the product. You have damaged Jamaica. You cannot be trusted. You should not be trusted. We don't trust you. We don't want you to lead as opposition. We want an opposition that can hold the government accountable, that can work with government to achieve certain things that is beneficial to Jamaicans. You're not contributing to that process. And we have no confidence in you as leader of the opposition. And we will mobilize ourselves like you have never seen it before, Mark Golding. Mark my word. We will organize and mobilize ourselves like you've never seen it before. So take my advice. For a peaceful life, walk away and give the opposition a chance to breathe so we can operate like a decent country. Because we're not going to stop yourself. All right? Good. Folks, let me say thank you to everybody who passed through this evening. All 400, 500 of you guys, and all the folks over on TikTok, I'm coming to you. Don't move. We're coming over to TikTok. Let me just close out on this side here. For the folks who came on and joined us and shared the program, we appreciate you. We thank you to Gabby, to Mr. Vegas, to Dr. Nelson. We appreciate you guys coming through. We apologize for the folks who did not make it. Dr. Nadine Spence and Sharon Hay Webster, who were invited, they didn't make it for whatever reasons. But that's okay. I think these guys were tied up in other meetings and stuff. But we appreciate every single one of you who took time out to join us, to participate in the program, to share the program, to hear your comment, and to just keep the conversation alive. You should understand. We said we give Mark Golding until Thursday, and by Thursday evening you will hear from us again. What is our next move? But we're not going to stop, because we believe in Jamaica. We trust the leadership. We believe that we must have a good opposition. We believe that an effective and strong opposition is important. And if you all agree with me, just inbox me after this, because you know what our next move is going to be. But we're not going to stop yourself. And if you think, say, this is a joke talk, you watch, you're going to see a movement where you never see before. But me say, we give Mark Jefferson Golding until Thursday to walk away, because nothing less than him walking away as opposition leader will be accepted. Nothing less will be accepted. And we are demand that, because we have a right to fight for this country. Jamaica is worth fighting for. We're going to fight for it. We're not stop fight for it. So big up yourself, everybody who came through. Can't go through the names. I hold it for names. I don't want to start calling names. I don't call everybody name. So big up yourself. Appreciate the support as always. Appreciate you guys who take time out every week to listen to us. We've been doing this from 2015, guys. We didn't start yesterday. Long time we had to do this. We appreciate you guys still sticking and staying with us. Enough respect to you all. We see you all over on TikTok. That's where we're going to end up. And going at the real conversation. So big up yourself. Enough love, enough respect. Thank you all. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Chops Media. Please remember to follow us on X, Twitter, formerly X, at the same Chops Media. And we're still on the Chopping Block on Facebook. So big up again, everybody. Enough respect. Appreciate you all. Thank you to Gabby. Thank you to Mr. Vegas. Thank you to Dr. Nelson. Big up yourself. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Peace. And I'm out.